Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news and reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. As usual, I have with me Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Staying busy. You got your tickets for Snow White yet?
I actually do have my tickets for Snow White, and I'm going to be there front and center on opening day.
Front and center and alone.
Anywhere I want in the theater, I'll probably be able to be on the day that it premieres.
Yes, yes. I'm assuming you're not getting to see it till Thursday.
No, you know what's annoying is that, I was offered, like, to see a screening today, but sometimes they do this thing where they offer, like, some kind of ticket for this, and if you don't answer immediately, you're out.
They're gone. Yeah, the tickets are
And
gone.
by the time I saw it and did something, it just, it was done. But it's okay. I mean, listen, it's not it's not that I'm itching to see this movie. In the worst case, I'll see it on Thursday, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm happy that we're here, and I'm happy
Yeah.
there's certainly a lot of stuff going on today.
So
For
much going on. All these Kennedy files that everyone's talking about and are like much ado about nothing.
Yeah, it just first of all, it's a million files, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
tried looking at a few select ones to see, if I could gather any interesting evidence, but I didn't feel like, at least based on what I was looking at, I didn't see anything that I found especially interesting. Again, there's a million documents, and I assume somebody is gonna, you know, go through all of them and learn more about it, but I don't really know what to say about it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to sort through over the next few days. But there was one thing that a bunch of people were commenting on, which was kind of funny. There's a one of the things that's found is a document in there of a letter that was placed into the archives that was ostensibly from John F. Kennedy to Senator Biden. That basically said, "Dear Senator Biden, you're a traitor." Except, but it only tells you because it's just the document showing that it was placed into the archives. It doesn't actually have the contents of the whole letter. But it's been pointed out since then that actually, yes, this was actually known about before. That it was ostensibly it's signed John F. Kennedy, but when it was documented and placed into the record, they marked it as basically anonymous. So they reviewed it and determined it was unlikely it was actually sent by John F. Kennedy. If
I see.
somebody faked his signature, but it's going around. It's kind of a lot of people are picking that up and running with it just because that's quite funny to see a letter
It is funny.
to Joe Biden saying you're a traitor.
That is actually quite funny. But yeah, I mean, I've always imagined that by the time anybody releases any kind of documents, it's probably going to be only a partial image of what happened. I feel like also so much time has passed that there's probably some people that knew some things, but they're no longer with us, and I don't know what they've shared with other people.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a few documents that have come out. I've read a couple that that actually are tied back to some accounts that people had given before, like had given interviews with with various news organizations or talk to people publishing books, essentially saying that they were insiders at the CIA and believed that there were some people, there was a group of people within the CIA that organized and saw the assassination of JFK through. But as far as we can tell, there's nothing in there that actually substantiates that, right? It's just there's actually some documents there showing the same assertions that these people had made elsewhere, but nothing that actually said that is this, like I kind of said, the smoking gun, right? We're not actually going to see that smoking gun of, oh, look, here's a document that says Steve and Chad over here were the ones that did it. We're not going to find that, right? So Yeah, it'll be interesting as more and more. I guess there was a second document dump that happened earlier today, or I mean later today.
Okay,
So I guess it'll be interesting to see once we've really had people that have had a chance to start combing through those what they actually do find. But I just don't know that there's going to be much in terms of stuff that we didn't kind of already have sources and various different talking points from different journalists and conspiracy theorists and so on that we've had for years already. I just don't know that we're going to find anything new.
I see. Well, I mean, like I said, here's the thing. One of the reasons why I believe that they wanted to keep all these documents as far away as possible from the time this actually happened is that nobody's really around. Most of the people that would have been maybe involved in this in some way, uh, they're either not with us anymore or they're super old. And I guess at this point, it's like, what are one of the problems? Have you ever watched those kind of cold case shows?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what they always talk about is how after so many years, it's hard to go back and find the people that they were involved in something, even witnesses, even anything, and saying, "Now tell me what happened." There's a difference what somebody will say today and what somebody said, in 1962.
Uh-huh.
So basically, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah. That even even if you did find something amazing, be like, oh, maybe this person knew something. Well, that person's been dead for 4 years, for 10
Right.
years, for 25 years. And
This
there's no way we're ever going to be able to find out anything. Right.
It's
So,
so difficult at this
yeah.
point, you know? And the other thing is I don't wanna say key suspects because I don't wanna say that without any kind of information proper, but I'm saying if somebody suspected, a certain person, that they maybe did it, that person is probably not even alive anymore. You know what I mean? There's a few names I've heard floating over the years. There's a few former president even names that you hear floating around, but none of that matters because those people aren't here.
Yeah.
Basically, the
Yeah.
fact that they even kept all of this until now, that's the real nonsense. That they didn't want people to know something back then, and it seems like for many years they tried to make sure that nobody knew about it, and now it being released, that's a part of their original plan.
Yeah.
We're only seeing these documents now and it's all meaningless. That was part of the plan.
Yeah. So actually, I guess it looks like the second batch of files was actually just released like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, is there something interesting in that?
No, I mean, they're only just now going through it. It just the second batch had around 31,400 pages, which brings the total today to 63,400 pages, and then the grand total to around 80,000 pages of documents as part of this JFK files release. So that's a lot to go through, especially since those are most of those are just going to be scans, right? They're just going to be scanned PDFs. Some of them are going to be handwritten, so a lot of that stuff is going to take a while to
Well,
actually
well, maybe
process and people to dig through.
maybe there's a few silver linings here. Maybe with AI,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can upload an image of a scan and tell AI read it and tell me and give me a summary.
Yeah,
I'm
and you
sure
yeah, you absolutely can.
it's still a lot of pages, but if somebody is now working diligently, that's what somebody is like. From the second she released it, I promise you, there's at least one person right now doing exactly what we said, just trying to get as many documents in and out, in and out. You're getting all the summary from AI. Just somebody's
Yep,
doing this now.
absolutely. Yeah, well, I'm certain if there's anything particularly noteworthy, we'll know about it by tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. I'm interested in this new batch because I was under the impression I didn't even know there was a second batch. This kind of changes things. Even what I was saying, I was taking into consideration the general vibe of what I heard about this first batch. Maybe the second batch has something interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, because I do know that there were quite a few of records that they had that had been available before, right? They had all been reviewed and everything, and made sure they were part of this collection of documents. And then they had that whole discovery. They were like the New York office was like, oh, well, we've got like 25,000 more. And what? you know, so yeah, it seems like, yeah, there was a release at 7 p.m. Eastern with 32,000 pages, and then another at 10:30 p.m. Eastern with another 31,400 pages. Yeah. So
I s
some 2,200 almost PDF files that have been uploaded to the National Archives.
I'll
So
tell you what, though,
yeah.
I think that even with this new batch, I don't know how much we're gonna get.
Oh no, no. I don't think that there's going to be anything particularly just shocking. I'm certain that there might be some insights. Some people will have things that might be noteworthy, maybe backing up some theories that previously people had had, or backing up some people's stories that have been told before. But I don't know that there's going to be anything at all that's just going to be shocking. Just like, oh, look, here's the thing. Here's the record of when the CIA talked to this guy, and he was the one that did this thing and whatever. So
No, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a smoking gun. Maybe there were certain things if you ever saw that, Oliver Stone movie, there was that guy, Clay Shaw, who was Clay Bertram, where they say that he worked for the government, and what was his relationship with Oswald, implying that maybe Oswald, you know what I mean? There's things there that I think that in that trial that you see in that movie, which is at least based somewhat on a trial there was, that was the general direction of what he was going for.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he had something. Do you remember the end of that movie with with Kevin Costner?
Oh gosh, it's been forever since I've seen that.
So I'll remind you, I could be wrong, but I've seen it years ago and I think I remember this. He's trying to explain to them that there was a conspiracy and they're all just kind of dismissing him. And part of his reason of explaining why there's a conspiracy, he has like a guy, and I think Tommy Lee Jones plays this character, called Clay Shaw. And then it turns out that his name was also Clay Bertrand. Now, I think Kevin Costner tries to somehow connect that this guy works for the government, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's sort of mingling with Oswald, and the question is why, and nobody wants to answer these questions, and he lied about his identity, meaning there was something that they asked him, and he didn't say who he truly was, and there was something that he was really trying to prove that this guy had something to do with the conspiracy. It was his strongest quote unquote argument. But at the end, the judge basically tells him, I don't know what happened in real life, but in the movie, the judge tells him, we understand that there may be something here that this guy worked, but you haven't given us enough to tie all this together. Meaning, he doesn't win whatever case he's doing. All they do is supposedly admit that this guy really did work for the government.
Mhm.
Now, I wonder if any of these documents even talk about this guy because I think that was a real guy in real life. And the question is if there's more like information about him. But judging by these things, I feel like there's probably not going to be, we won't find something that simple there.
No, not at all. Not at all.
If at all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Like I said, I'm sure we're going to hear if there is anything of particular interest in there. I'm sure we're going to hear about that pretty quickly. Because yeah, there's definitely going to be people out there using things like AI to help ingest all of this stuff and search through it very quickly. Then there's going to be other people who are going to be doing the work and going through them, page by page, or using AI to find the pages that are the most interesting or that have certain keywords in them and stuff to see what they have to say. So yeah,
All
I'm
I
I'm I'm quite certain we're going to get some very interesting insights into what these documents do say just in the next day or two.
But do you agree with me that right now there's somebody sitting somewhere using a bunch of AI going through these documents
Oh
very
no,
quickly?
absolutely. There's probably more than one. There's probably dozens of people, trying to dig through these, looking for all sorts of different stuff. Yeah.
I wonder if they can AI
Absolutely.
into the AI, meaning can they run not an AI into the yes, an AI into the AI. Basically, can they have one that opens the files, puts them into a ChatGPT or Grok asking for like a summary, and then it takes the next document and does it automatically?
Yeah, yeah. So they'll be using tools. There's already what are just called character recognition tools that will go through even not AI based, just image
Yeah,
recognition stuff that can go through and take what just looks like you know a scanned in typed document or even a handwritten one and can pull that in and actually translate that into actual text files that can then be analyzed more quickly
right,
and then you can take those and then feed those into other tools that can sort of like I said, like with an AI, they can ingest the contents of that and you can start looking for keywords. You can start looking for how frequently certain terms appear. You can start doing all sorts of stuff with that for different names and dates and stuff like that. And yeah, you can very quickly kind of dig through that stuff. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of technology going into analyzing these files over the next few days. But that's why I said I think the discoveries of anything particularly noteworthy are going to happen pretty quickly.
yeah. I guess you're right. I don't see
Yeah.
anything that popped in, like, did you see anybody, like, online that knew something?
I saw, a handful of things that had to do with some different documents that were there. Like I said, there was one in particular. They were talking about a document that was essentially a testimony about a guy that said that he was an insider at the CIA and he knew that there was a group inside the CIA that was working secretly to uh, you know, to end JFK's life, to assassinate him, and then he feared for his life that they knew he knew and were going to come after him, whatever. So he was trying to hide out in New Jersey for a brief period, and then within 6 months, that man was unalived. Supposedly, he Minecrafted himself but there's some interesting things there that tie back, like I said, to some stories, conspiracy theories that other people had told previously. Underhill, that's right. I have no dick. Yeah, that's the one. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll start to see if there's more documentation of that kind of stuff. Uh, like pretty quickly, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting, conversation for sure.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have more to talk about with that on Thursday.
I believe we will. And then, I'm trying this, banner thing. What's our next thing?
Yes.
It was Trump and Elon versus judges.
Oh yes, the judges. Oh. The judges. Oh, here I can. This is one today. This has been going around a lot today. Not about the judges, but apparently. Oh, yeah, shared my screen there.
Oh, hold on.
Yep.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess apparently a new CNN poll has shown that Americans believe that AOC is now the leader of the Democratic Party. Just so everyone knows, very very important that we have this absolutely laughable woman as the head of a national party.
Listen, I don't especially, prefer her things, but, I don't especially prefer her.
No,
But at the same time, if I were them, she actually sits online, she posts on these stupid things. Maybe some of these weirdos at least see her as an online presence. She may not have anything interesting to say, but sometimes you put stupid things on TikTok, maybe a few people will notice you. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Oh, I'm certain that they believe she's their best their best opportunity. That she's the best they've got to move forward. Her and it was Jasmine Crockett, whatever. I'm quite certain that they believe that that is the future of their party, and I really hope that they run with it because they will not win another election for a decade if these are going to be the best that they've got.
I mean, listen, I never want to underestimate anybody. You never know what'll happen in life, and I never underestimate anybody. For me personally, I wouldn't vote for like that ticket.
And there's quite a few people who would also not vote for that ticket.
I understand, but she has an appeal. You know how I feel like there's a lot of people that are very extreme on that side over now, like right now.
Yeah.
She appeals to them. There's a lot of them, and she appeals to them. She doesn't appeal to the more, moderate, or she doesn't have like a consensus of whatever you want to call it. She's been trying from the day the election happened. I bet you that she's sitting and trying gradually to position herself more as sort of a moderate left in hopes of winning an election. I'm not saying this is going to work out for her, but I'm saying it doesn't. If I'm her, that's what you do. Well, actually, I don't know. Sometimes she does stupid things, but I want to believe that that's the minimum. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say this. I'll give her credit one thing, and I'm sure this wasn't her alone, and I know she was probably backed or whatever. But initially, when she got elected in like New York City, she kind of just came, and there was some old guy that was there for years, and she ran against him, and she won. And you know what? I'm sure that this didn't happen in a vacuum. I'm sure she had like, support, and she didn't come out of nowhere. But whatever campaign there was there in order to do this change, she seemingly handled it pretty well. Now, does it convince me? Like, do I get excited? No. But you never know. You never know what people will do. I guess what I'm saying is you can't underestimate anybody, even though I personally don't prefer her.
Well, we all have our own opinions.
That's
I
fair enough.
I think she's one of the most laughable politicians to hold office in a century,
We're pretty
and
smart.
I think that she uh, forced onto a stage to debate anyone who's actually prepared. Let's say in a few years has to debate JD Vance. He would crush her.
I think you're right. But no, listen, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm thinking the automatic instinct is to think what you think. Like that's what I first would think. Like, oh, she looks kind of dumb. This is probably, going to be amusing. But at the same time, just that instinct of mine that says you can never underestimate anybody 100%. Sometimes people they have their own wisdom even if they don't seem to, and the one thing I'll say is that she's not appealing to you and me. Do you get what I mean?
I know what you mean.
W- we're not going to buy into whatever she is. Stupid people, stupid people on TikTok and on different platforms, maybe she does stupid things that speaks to these stupid people. I know that I sound like some old man in the cloud or whatever you want to call it, but don't think that can't, like, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. She has her appeal. There's a group that has that she has an appeal to. I just don't think that group is actually that big or influential.
Well,
That
we'll see. We'll
that
see.
side of the Democratic Party is actually what is causing them as a party to collapse.
Y-
So
you're you're saying
we'll see. I like that you're trying to be positive. You're trying to say, this is a person who might have something to offer that might, do something, change something, do something in some way that might actually be influential. Uh, you know, uh, I can't imagine anyone who I would less who I would not want to wield power
Oh, I
more than her.
absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Don't think for 1 second that I'm saying that it would work on me. It wouldn't work
No.
on me at all. Like, I'm saying that you and I, we're not stupid. I'm not saying we're the brightest people in the world, but I think we come off as not stupid, okay?
Yeah,
I'm saying that there are people that are stupid that may like that stuff
yeah.
because they won't know that she's stupid because they'll be stupid too.
Got it. Got it.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I got it. Let's talk about these judges, man.
All right, judges, yeah. All right, what's up with I feel like every time they do something, there's a judge that pops up and is like, "You can't do that."
Yep.
So it started with Trump and that law from 1798 where he got this is almost like a comedy. I feel like real life is crazier than any Hollywood production now. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, there's been. I mean, it didn't even start with that thing with the uh, alien. Oh, just forgot what it was called.
There was some gangs, there's they
Yeah,
sent the gang away to
the
El Salvador. I don't know what he
foreign,
sent them.
yeah, whatever, Aliens Act or whatever. Like, it didn't even start with that. Like, it's been like every single thing, every single action that Trump has taken, there have been judges, these activist judges who are out there trying to overturn it, saying, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You know, no, you can't do that. You can't. Oh, what you're doing is unconstitutional. Oh, you that what he did doesn't count because it was Elon that did it, not Trump, because Trump can take executive action, but it was Elon doing it, and so now he's not an elected official and he's not confirmed by the Senate, so he can't do this." And just these, just nonstop, all of these things, to the point that literally, like, now I feel like there are there's just a judge sitting there waiting for the next executive order so that they can write some sort of thing to say, no, you can't do that. I mean, I understand that instinct, I suppose. I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's kind of ridiculous that that is the instinct here, and to think also that any of these decisions that have been made by these judges, these injunctions that have been put in place or whatever, that they're actually going to stand, because it's you're we're talking about the executive branch and the head of the executive branch. And I've seen numerous, you see in these protests, quote unquote, the protests that people are showing up to and being paid $40 an hour to be there.
Yeah,
Very, very organic protests.
very
Um,
organic.
they're showing up with these signs saying, "I don't work for a king" or whatever like that. No, as an employee of the federal government, you do not work for a king. You're right. What you do work for is an executive. You work for who is essentially the CEO of a very large organization, the federal government, and that CEO, that head of the executive branch of the government, has broad powers to terminate your employment as a federal
True.
worker. So you can try and twist yourself in knots about, oh, it was Elon, not President Trump that fired me or whatever. You can tie yourself in knots on that stuff, but when it comes to actual legal decisions, I don't see any of this stuff standing. It's kind of ridiculous. Oh, you can't deport these people. Why not? Right? There's a law in the books that says we can. Right. So all of this is just, it's literally, I think the point of this, you can give your thoughts in a moment, but I think all of this is literally just to try and slow down anything that Trump is doing so that they can, try and find loopholes. They can try and find new ways to get around the actions he's trying to take.
Yeah, I think that what they're doing is this is what appears to be the strategy. It was decided that from the day Trump arrives, he just starts doing all this stuff with executive orders. He doesn't care about anything. He's just doing what he wants. I'm sure they knew that people would be popping up, including these type of judges. I don't think that this is anything that's really shocking anybody. I think part of the strategy is you hit the ground running, start to do a million things. Some of them may get knocked down, some of them may uphold, but there's going to be a fight now over everything, and it's going to be a fight that the public are going to see, and maybe somehow it'll end up getting resolved.
Yeah, there's gosh, yeah, there's been so many of these things. There these judges just coming out of the woodwork, and of course now the big argument has been, I guess you probably saw this today, that now Trump has been saying, well, now we need to impeach these activist judges.
Right, but then he had Chief Justice Roberts kind of pushing back on this.
Yes, yeah, and his comment was, I suppose, uh, moderate in the way he tried to say it. Oh, we, judicial review. There's way, whatever. The appellate courts are the way to handle this, whatever. But when you literally, you have judges who have little of no jurisdiction, who have it as their singular mission to try and disrupt the executive branch and the actions that they're taking, and that's all they're going to do is just that over and over again, then yeah, guess what? Corrupt judges should be removed from office. So I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's like,
You know,
no, if they're exceeding what they're supposed to be doing as a judge, then no, they absolutely should be removed from office.
I'll say the way if I had to zoom out, all of this is negative in the sense that this type of petty fighting, it usually you don't see it go back. It only becomes worse. Now we think, oh, this probably couldn't be worse than this, and then there's something worse.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
guess what I'm saying is that the fact that there's such a battle to do everything in this country today, I don't know. It would have been nice if there were at least certain topics that were more bipartisan. Meaning, you'd think, yeah, if I would have told you like 20, 30 years ago that there's millions of people just crossing a border coming in, including, maybe people that are not, criminals or something, you'd think that everybody would be concerned.
Yep. You would. I mean, you would think so, but then of course I think there's a large contingent of people who are very, like I said, very interested in making sure that they can interrupt anything that Trump's doing, uh, slow it down or disrupt it in a way that's meaningful, that to help out, help out their party. They're gonna do anything they can, and if that means, hey, we look, we can put together this whole network of different judges that can, you know all we have to do is go, flash, something in front of them, and they're going to write an injunction against Trump and whatever he's trying to do. I mean, it's more lawfare, I suppose. But yeah, it's
Well, we'll
it's
see
really
how it plays out. I feel like he's in a very kind of combative mood and he has
He
combative
he
people
is.
around him.
He definitely is. Yeah, he's not afraid to be combative. As his first, Trump's first, tenure in office, he had a lot of people around him that were trying really hard to moderate what he was doing, or to give him advice to do this and do that and whatever. And he's just not having it this time. He's going in, and he's a bull in china shop. He's gonna do what he's gonna do, and he's got lots of people around him who are 100% behind what he wants to do as well. So yeah. Oh, so we got a super chat over on YouTube from the Dead Man.
Oh, okay, let's see what's going on here. Let me share it. I'll do what Six tells me. I'll do a like on it. I pop up and say you didn't do a like. So so the dead man says this one particular judge was a FISA judge, CIA goon. He approved the spying on the Trump campaign. He was involved in the Russia hoax. Interesting.
I think that's Boasberg. Is that the one?
I saw something.
The dead
Sometimes
man?
they also show that like somebody has like a wife that then works for this other super PAC or whatever. Like all these weird things, NGOs and whatever it is. All that stuff is kind of strange, but I don't know all the details. There's so much happening at the same time today.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
it's difficult to just catch the little details sometimes.
Yeah, Boasberg was one that had his daughter worked as a lawyer for some NGO uh, who gave advice to legals, or excuse me, advice to illegals on how to enter the country or whatever. So that that's interesting. Uh, it's it's strange.
Hi,
Like you
Marla.
said, there's just so much stuff going on right now. It's wild. Yeah. Hey there, Marla.
I was saying hi to Marla Sharon
Yeah,
there.
we got our super mod Eraserhead here in the chat tonight. Good to see you, Eraserhead.
Ooh, Racerhead, what's up? I hope Adam Gray is feeling better and is Barbara.
Oh yeah, they were both still pretty rough at the end of the week last week. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
I hope they feel better.
Adam said he's doing a little bit better.
That's good to hear. I'm telling
Yeah,
them, maybe they're listening. If they're
yeah.
listening,
If they're
I hope
listening,
you
yeah.
guys feel better. And if they're not, you could tell them I said that. But what was I going to say? We were talking about something else. What were we saying?
Oh, the judges. We were just talking about some of the different judges and different stuff that they were involved in.
There's always something kind of strange. A lot of these political things. I mean, we've always known this, but I guess in Washington, a lot of stuff is connected to a lot of other stuff. It's the center, maybe of the world for like power on a lot of very important things. And sometimes when there's a lot of power, there's also a lot of, corruption of sorts.
Yeah. Well, as we mentioned, so I was looking up a little bit more about Judge Boasberg, and yeah, he's the one that has his daughter. He Boasberg, amongst other actions he's taken, was the one that said that you could not deport the Trin de Aragua, criminals and stuff. You couldn't deport them, and so he did not disclose the conflict of interest that his daughter works for a group called Partners for Justice, which is a 501c3 non-governmental organization that, like I said, provides resources to illegals stuff, try and help them to, uh, come into the country. So, yeah.
I see. Empress and Emro, Trump turning the floodlights on so we can see the deep corruption for ourselves. And I guess she was saying that before I actually said something, but I didn't see her comment, so I was just saying whatever I was saying. But, a lot of great minds think alike, like the people right here that are listening to this program together with us and
Yeah.
hanging out with us. We're sort of on the same wavelength, which is always cool. I hope so, at least. Because everybody is different, and some people there's a certain mindset or vibe that's good for them. So there's hopefully at least a few people that enjoy what we do here.
Yeah. So here's a sharing another screen here with you. Um, there's a video here. Apparently, Trump set for an interview this evening with the Ingram angle. So there's a little reply from him about the judges here.
Okay.
I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making that determination. I don't know who the judge is,
So yeah, there's been a
but he's
number of people who've been saying essentially like, okay, so now what is a president allowed to do without some judge telling us what's okay, right? Because
Right, because
yeah,
this
go
is
ahead.
stuff that's his branch, right? And these are situations that you'd think he could make the decision on. At least some of these things they're complaining about, it seems like it's within the scope of his job, in some cases at least.
Yeah. So do what exactly do we have to run by get through a judge before a president could do something so he can't make personnel decisions apparently. He can't deport illegals, especially those who are criminals, can't deport them.
Right,
uh he can't cancel payments, for foreign aid or anything like that. Even ones that weren't specifically, granted by Congress. They're
right.
just something that's being handled by a particular branch of the
Like
government. He can't.
USAID, it was
Yeah.
created by JFK, and maybe he needed Congress to pass it through, but I would think that this is something that's still within his, jurisdiction. Not only that, I think there's a way, theoretically, to take USAID, fold it into another department, and then just do what you want. Maybe they're making him think of additional steps, like what happened when he came up with the 1798 law. He did the thing, they said, "You can't do it." He said, "No, no, I can. Here's the law." And then he did it.
Hmm.
Right? He already
Yeah.
after they did it, they couldn't stop him, correct?
No, I mean yeah. What are they going to do? They're going to turn the planes around and bring those people back. You're like,
He
oh,
doesn't
sorry,
care.
hey, get those, get those guys, round them back up, put them back on the plane. Let's fly them back over here.
Do
Yeah.
in a way, though, all these kind of judges and all these things, I don't think that this is making them look good, and I don't think it's making their party look good, because at the end of the day, if there's a bunch of criminals and somebody wanted to actual criminals and somebody wanted to remove them, why is that not good? Like,
Uh,
why is it so important to stop that from happening? One has to wonder.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop deportations. Stop cutting wasteful fraud and abusive spending. Stop. Whatever. There was, of course, now there's an order that's saying that all of the provisional employees that were let go in the federal government now. There's a judge's order saying you have to bring all those people back and you have to pay them back pay, and you have to keep paying them for the next 45 days, whether they're on leave or whatever. There's another order that's saying, oh, if these USAID people, you got to bring all them back, and you have to give them access to their email, and you have to give them access to their computers, and it's like, what? No, like they're like, we can't do that. We can't. They're you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, it's
those things
done.
are gone. Those passwords are gone. Those systems
Now,
are gone. Those
is
email
this
addresses are gone.
what also de facto happens here? Does the president just say, "No, I don't agree with you. Screw you," and then what do people do? Do they just listen to him, or does this judge have any power with what he's doing?
I mean, it would have to go. It will do what it will. What has to happen, and is it will go up through the courts. It will go up into the various different appellate courts, and then or maybe even just be pulled in almost immediately into the Supreme Court, which is unusual, but not it happens.
The
But
problem with the Supreme Court is that, again, I don't really care. I'm just this is what I've been reading, and maybe I'm just wrong on this, but Amy Coney Barrett
yeah,
has kind of not been, she's sort of been rejecting things that she's been getting.
yeah. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I would think in this kind of case, given that it has to do with constitutional authority, uh, it would be really hard for them to say, "Oh no, some little federal court in we're just
No,
going to
I agree
approve
with you
the
100%, and
some
I
little
would
federal
think that
court here in California."
I would be very surprised if she, like, didn't go along with it, but just because, like, of what we've seen, I wonder if she's not kind of like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that Trump appointed her and he really expected that she'll be, in the same line of thought that he is, but that really hasn't been the case.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can never say, one particular justice is always going to find one in one particular way, especially if they're actually doing their jobs, if they're doing things the way that they're supposed to. If they're actually using, jurisprudence, they're actually looking at precedent, they're actually looking at, how different, how different things should be decided based on the law as it's written versus, you've got a lot of newer judges that want to try and understand things, translate things, in a different way. Oh well, what does that mean to us today versus when it was written. Got the originalists versus other judges. So yeah, I, someone said, she's as DJ Play and I said she was shifty beforehand too. Uh, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see exactly what decisions she would make. But yeah, I think in a lot of ways, a lot of these are more of a nuisance to the Trump administration than anything. Once it gets up higher, they're going to say, "Look, you don't have standing here. This is the executive branch. They have broad authority over many things that is granted them by the Constitution." And just because it was Elon Musk that was there doing it, well, he was doing it by order of the president, and so your assertion is silly, right?
Well,
Because all
like I said, they did everything very quickly, right out the gate, quicker than I thought even than I thought would happen. This was very, very quick, and this probably people thought of this. They thought of doing this quick thing, and yeah, they're gonna run into these kind of hurdles, but I think that a lot of them they could probably overcome in one way or another. I would think.
yeah, I would imagine.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, that's for sure.
Yep.
And by the way, this is this was already, I think, after I posted the thumbnail. Uh, hold on. What was I looking for? Okay, I know what I'm
For
looking for now.
okay.
Well,
So
there's
what?
I wanted the thing with the astronauts.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. While you're looking that up, what about those astronauts finally getting
Yeah,
to
I
come
was
home today?
right. I was
Yeah,
looking for the video. I
and don't forget, Elon Musk had nothing to do with this. He's a moron, and he's the least successful business person in history. He's only a billionaire because people just give him money because he knows the right people. He had nothing to do with this company that rescued these astronauts who have been stuck up there because Boeing and their failed craft marooned these two people on the space station 9 months ago.
It's crazy, and they said that Joe Biden didn't want to ask Elon Musk because it wouldn't have been a good look or something.
Yeah, whatever. Elon Musk has the only reliable space launch platform in the US today. And everything else that's been made, everything else that they're working on is either not ready for prime time or is only good for space tourists. I mean, you've got Blue Origin from Jeff Bezos. Best it can do is shoot, 6 or 7 people up into space, let them orbit around for 20 minutes, and then come back down. That's the best they can do,
And,
right?
is he even pushing it any further? I feel like I've been hearing less about this Blue Origin recently.
I have no idea. I have no idea if they ever have any plan to go any further at this point. Uh, but you literally have you've got. I mean, there's a dozen different companies out there working on various different space launch systems, and you have some of them that have been working on this for over a decade. Some of them that are newer. They've got smaller launching systems that are capable of like satellites. Musk and his team. I'm not saying this is all Elon Musk. In fact, I know it's not. Elon Musk's SpaceX. Yes, it's his company, but he's got a lot of really brilliant people working for him. And that's part of the genius, right? That's part of his success. Is he's curated a lot of really brilliant people that are working for him to make these systems as capable as they are. But we're talking about Boeing, who's one of the biggest aerospace companies in the world, can't get their systems to work. Flew a couple of astronauts, granted, they made it to the space station alive, but
At
then
least that, yeah.
they couldn't get the craft back down safely. They didn't believe it was going to be safe to bring them back down in that craft. And so they had to abandon them on the space station. And then you have this guy who's launching rockets to shoot satellites and all sorts of other stuff into space every freaking day. They're launching these things.
I mean, that's the one thing that, he's doing it every day, so he has just a lot of experience. He has a really experienced team at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's
It's
not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, I mean, he's created a situation that they're doing this all the time. He has the best people working on it.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
as I was just saying, like we've got some teams that are just best they can do is just put a little capsule up there that floats around for a few minutes and comes back. Or there are other teams that can do smaller things. They can launch satellites and stuff successfully. But they're shooting, not they're lifting humans safely into space, bringing them down. They're shooting off. I mean, do you remember when the first time you saw one of those boosters from one of the SpaceX ships land?
yeah,
It was amazing.
right.
They're doing that every day.
I
And
I
now they've got the the enormous rocket, the heavy rocket that they're shooting off that comes down and it lands like soft lands on a couple of little pylons sticking out to catch it. I mean, it's stunning just to watch the catch of one of those heavy boosters. It's amazing. Nobody else in the world is doing that. So yeah, you can say Elon Musk is the dumbest billionaire on earth. Oh, he's so stupid. You hear all these Jasmine Crockett and stuff out there, twit out there talking, and it's like, yeah, but SpaceX is his company, and they are doing things that no one else on Earth can do.
I mean, there's a few different things going on here. He is undoubtedly a brilliant man, so there's nothing. I think that people that say, "Oh, he's very stupid," that is a stupid thing in and of itself to say. I don't think that you're him and you're not smart. What if I'm not all day thinking of attacking him all day, but I'm saying if people wanted to say something, they could say some kind of eccentric. You know what I mean? He's sort of as some very intelligent people are. He's kind
Yeah,
of eccentric. Uh, he is. I understand that he's functional, but I'm saying
yeah,
like he is even by his own admission on some type of spectrum, and
yeah,
he's eccentric. And yeah, I mean, and also I've said before, it's not like I think that he's flawless. He also makes mistakes, but generally speaking, I don't think anybody can take away an achievement like SpaceX. There are certain things that you could say whatever you want, but that's his company. And he's been involved in a number of companies that have proven to be, I dare say, groundbreaking or whatever you want to call it. I mean, PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX. These are things that he's just like, I want to do this now, and it almost seems like
yeah.
things that are bonkers to do. but
Yeah.
yet he wants to do them.
Well, and Tesla, he was not the guy who started Tesla. It was started by some other guys, but he came in and basically said, "Hey, I'm really excited about this. Here's a lot of money to be able to get everything up and running, and here's some of my ideas for what to do with it." And eventually, the original founders of the company left, but the company really was not the juggernaut that it was until after he came in and started bringing some of his own people in and implementing some of his ideas. He was not the first guy to build an electric car, but he turned that into a extremely profitable company. And how weird is it now too that you've got all these people out there, firebombing Tesla dealerships? It's wild.
It's also the very type of car that they seemingly all wanted. That's what they all wanted, the electric
Yeah,
car. That was like
yeah,
their big environment pollution thing that they cared about so much. And now that doesn't matter either. I think that if we want to point out hypocrisy, is that until a few years ago, Elon was their darling. They were happy to speak about the environment, buy Teslas, and talk about all this stuff, and as long as they thought that he was one of them. But once like he sort of shifted or went in another direction, he is like public enemy number one. Now again, and I've said it before, I don't think anybody's perfect. I think he's not perfect, and I think that uh, he certainly has flaws. But at the same time, these attacks and these things that are going on are beyond anything reasonable. You know what I mean? You could say something about somebody or say, "Oh, I don't agree with you this," or "You agree with you on that," but to just go and blow up, and these are people that are not him. Somebody that has a dealership, you're only damaging some probably some good people, some other people in the area that probably have jobs there. You're ruining it for them.
yeah,
Like, seemingly
absolutely.
everybody wants jobs in America, you want
Yeah,
cars, you want whatever, and
they're
going and destroying places of business. This is the same issue that I had during, the quote unquote "summer of love" of 2020,
yeah.
that the thing that bothered me, probably more than anything else, was that there were rioters ruining people's business. In a lot of cases, you saw that they were in the name of equality ruining some businesses. It turned out that these businesses either belonged to or employed many people, that would be quote unquote diverse or whatever you want to say, and they're ruining the businesses for those people for no reason. Just like a ton of damage, and yeah, I don't like that. But what were you saying? Sorry.
No, no, I just so, I have a theory. I have a theory. So, you might remember Donald Trump used to be a Democrat.
Yeah,
He was registered as a Democrat, voted as a Democrat,
they loved him.
help Democratic causes, and yeah, he was their darling. They actually loved him.
They loved him.
Um, Elon Musk, he was the premier, you know, head of the electric car revolution, in the US. Nobody else had really been able to do it. There were other electric cars, sure, but nobody was able to really capture this high-tech, impressive,
Right.
attractive vehicle with the Teslas that he, helped to build, the company that he was running. He was beloved by the left because what he was able to do with electric cars and pushing these, and
It's
everyone
their
was.
it's their dream. They love electric cars, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? That was
yeah,
what they were blabbing about for decades. He gave them the jewel of their crown. That is what they dreamed about, the stupid electric. That's what they wanted their whole life because they don't want the gas, and then because of the gas and the ozone, and I don't whatever nonsense there was. I'm just saying that for decades, all I've been hearing about is how important it is to go electrical, and he came and he delivered that, and now they make it seem like he's the worst person on the face of the earth, and they want to like physically destroy his businesses.
yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. The reason for Trump derangement syndrome, for Elon derangement syndrome is how much they feel betrayed by these men, by Trump, by Elon, that they used to be, oh, we loved you. You used to be one of us. But now that they've changed their tune, they've changed their minds on a number of issues and decided, you know what? No, the progressives are not going the right way. They're not doing the thing that's necessary. We need to go this direction. And so it's not just that the causes that they support now are counter to some of the causes that the left supports, the more progressive side of the left. It's that they feel betrayed by those people. That's part of why that derangement, that hatred for them is as potent as it is, right?
I
I
see what
feel
you're
like
saying.
that's part of it.
Yeah, I understand. But you know what? Even so, I think people need to be more adult about it. Whatever we're seeing, it's just like the picture you showed from the his speech to Congress. It all seems very childish and petty sometimes now.
Oh, and it absolutely feels very, very childish and petty.
But what can we do? I wonder how it all plays out. Certainly there's no shortage of interesting things happening. Seeing how all these judges, what's going to be the response, how long it'll take. Very curious about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm glad to see these astronauts made it home safely. To bring it back to what we were talking about there.
That was
G
awesome.
yes, oh, it was wonderful to see them, make it back, and yeah, that happened because of Elon Musk's company. He's the one that helped that to happen. So, um, these people can say what they want. They can claim all sorts of wild stuff. The dead man.
What did he say? I'm looking at it. What did I miss?
He's- so the dead man for $2 in as a super chat. He says R2 Elon is not of the body, referencing a Star Trek episode where this with oh, what's the name of the computer? Uh, oh, it's one of the ones the whole society is taken over by a computer. I'm just blanking on it right now. I can remember the entire episode. I'll probably quote it to you right now, but I cannot think of the name of the computer and everything. I feel like a failure. Uh, I feel like a failure, dead man. Um, but Landrew, that's it. Landrew, I got it before the chat got it to me. Yes, Landrew. They go to this planet and everything's controlled by Landrew, this supercomputer that controls everybody's emotions and everything. And then the people that are absorbed will say, "You are not of the body." They can tell that somebody is not is not part of their little collection of people who are now under the control of Landrew. So yeah, you
I
are
see.
not of the body. So Elon is not of the body. He's not being controlled by the uh by the system.
I see.
And yes, Empress in him. Yeah, Return of the Archons is the name of the episode. Yep.
I know which one you're talking about, and
My
yes,
brain was not in Star Trek mode at the
eh,
moment, and so
and yeah, and I've said it before. It doesn't mean that there's no way to criticize people like Trump or like Elon, but I think that the reactions are so extreme that if you wanted to actually raise anything or talk about anything, it really just discredits it. It reminds me of the type of weirdos we used to encounter when I was saying, like, talking about some Star Wars or some Last Jedi, and then there would be like people having meltdowns. You remember that?
Mhm.
I feel like now Star Wars is in such a bad place. You don't even see the meltdowns anymore. Like nobody even cares.
No, nobody gives a crap.
Nobody cares. Like honestly, and it pains me to say this because people ask me sometimes. Everything that Disney has done has ruined something from that for me that I'll never be able to get back. I'll always appreciate Lucas's movies, but somehow, as much as I felt the magic in the past, it I don't know if over time I'll change and maybe I'll miss that magic and the magic will come back to me, but it's not as magical as it was.
Hmm.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? You know, some people are like, "Well, just ignore everything that wasn't those 3 movies." Now, sometimes when there's just 1 movie, like, let's say there's The Godfather 3, I ignore it because I don't really like it. But that means, it's just one thing. I saw it, I didn't like it, I don't have to watch it again. With Star Wars, we've seen so many shows and movies and them taking characters that we recognize and making them look bad. It's really hard to pretend that didn't happen.
Oh, it's so. I mean, yeah, it's so hard to pretend that the prequels or the sequels don't exist. Like,
Listen, the sequels, I understand that they're inferior to the originals, and I've always thought that, and I don't hate the prequels, and I never did, but I always felt that they were significantly inferior. But at the same time, they didn't cause me to not like the original trilogy.
yeah.
At worst, I can say, like, George Lucas did something that he thought was right. I think he made some mistakes, and I can analyze for a completely different conversation as the mistakes that he made. But at the end of the day, I don't think he got up in the morning thinking, "I hate the fans and I hate Star Wars." I think he had ideas, and he had too many yes men around him, and he went all in on his own ego
Oh,
in
absolutely.
less of a collaborative process, which is pretty much why we got those prequels that were so flawed. But at the
Yep.
same time, I can still, after the prequels, I could easily watch the original trilogy and be very happy with it. It didn't make anything different for me. I felt the magic. But with after Disney, none of those films have the same magic for me anymore.
Mm, yeah. See, I still love the original 3 films, and, I have never been one that just loathed the prequels, but I don't really enjoy them. I don't go back and watch them, not frequently. Uh, there are parts that are enjoyable, especially in the 3rd film. The 3rd film, I think, really had the story that George, I think, overall wanted to tell for that set of prequels. The other ones feel like a real mess, especially Phantom Menace. But I don't hate them, right? I don't think they necessarily take away, as you said, from the original trilogy.
It's just
But
it can't recreate the same magic because
no,
it's just the feeling I have, the fan goodwill is so low for me that it's
yeah,
hard. I'll look at those movies and I know they're good movies. I know why they're good, and I'll maybe if I disconnect my thoughts, I can still sit there and appreciate it. But at the same time, something isn't the same. It's not that they're not good movies, but they have everything that came afterwards has put a damper on them. And I'm
yeah,
not talking about the prequels.
yeah,
That's the prequels. It's like the main course is the original trilogy, and the prequels are like an appetizer that you can either have or you don't have, but that's up to you.
yeah. And well, and I think you're right in that. I don't think George actively hated the fans of Star Wars, wanted to do something to piss them off or anything like that. I think George was as as you said, or in a way, he was kind of up his own ass. He was convinced by everybody around him that he was God, and he was the most creative thing that has ever existed, and this trilogy was his, and he was the creator of it, and he was the mind behind everything that made Star Wars amazing, and that he when he went into making the prequels, he had eliminated everybody around him who would challenge him, who would suggest that maybe he should try something different. He directed all the movies himself instead of getting other directors in, other people, other
Yeah.
script writers in to kind of help to make Star Wars something better than what he could do on his own. And he said, no, this is my vision. I'm the one who's going to do it. and it just didn't work. The writing is subpar. In some cases, it's absolutely abysmal, especially the dialogue. That goes through all 3 films. It wasn't limited to just one, although I think the dialogue as it's written in Clone Wars, or Attack of the Clones, sorry, is some of the worst dialogue ever delivered on screen.
Oh, there's some bad dialogue in there for sure.
Yeah, it's abysmal, and the just overall, I maintain to this day that the prequels actually, I think, tell a story that, if done better, same overall structure for the story, same characters involved. If the casting had been stronger, if the writing had actual like screenwriters involved, actual people who have emotions involved in writing it, instead of just George jotting it down on a yellow notepad. Uh, I think that those 3 films could have been made well. I
There was so much potential. The
it's just that it was not done well. George did not bring people in to help improve things, to help
no,
tighten stuff
he
up.
wa
It was
uh,
yeah.
he wasn't the same man that he was back then. Back then, today we look at Star Wars as this huge brand, or especially when the prequels came out. I don't know if it's a huge brand now, but back when the prequels came out, people were thinking about it. Look at what a huge brand this is. But when he was making Star Wars, like the first one, when he made that, there were people in England as part of his crew that like were making fun of him when he like turned away. Like they thought he was a joke, and he couldn't get anybody to do what he wanted. The studio wouldn't listen to him. He wanted more money. He's doing all this stuff, and he basically had like something of a nervous breakdown. And amidst all of this, he had
Yeah.
all these good people around him. Like his wife and the 2 editors, I think that did a lot of great work in the editing. He had such a great crew of like the effects and all those. I think John Dykstra, whatever, all those people. There was just a lot of good things happening, and so many good people around him. And I think that on the one hand, he had his vision, but on the other hand, especially in that situation he was in, he also listened to others. And I
Mhm.
feel like maybe, I don't know if he gradually was listening more or less to them throughout the original trilogy, but at least they were already there and he respected them. And there was a team of this competent team working with him, that they must have known his quirks, his ins and outs, or whatever it is, and were able to work with him. When he came back for the prequels, this is already not the same George Lucas. He doesn't have to prove himself. There's nobody laughing at him. He walks into a room and everybody stops what they're doing and they say, "This is George Lucas, the man who invented Star Wars," and everybody stands there and like claps. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that that's the biggest problem of the prequels, because he came in and everybody was just so thrilled to be in the same room as him that he's just like, "Hey, what about Jar Jar Binks? Isn't that good?" And they're all like, "It's the best, George. You're the best. Are you sure this is like the best thing ever, right?" "Yeah, yeah. He's the key to everything. He's the key to everything." They're all just there wasn't one person that would get up and say, "You know what, George? Maybe you should look at this idea. This could be better." And there was like nobody to do that, with the exception apparently of Revenge of the Sith, that at least at some point Spielberg arrived on set here and there, and somebody half listened to him.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that that Revenge of the Sith is probably the best one out of the 3. I don't know what his influence was. Apparently, that was something that at least he was able to get a few comments in.
Yeah. Well, I genuinely think the 3rd one just has the most interesting story to tell. It has the actual corruption of Anakin becoming Vader, and we get to see that. Now, if that had played out more evenly across the 3 films, I think starting the Phantom Menace with him as a little kid was not a good idea.
Huge mistake.
They
Huge
should
mistake.
should have been
The
an older actor.
pod racing, that whole pod racing
Yeah.
nonsense and the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a part of me that doesn't mind watching the actual scene, and there's a few things that I don't dislike about that movie, like, Duel of the Fates? What's that
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, Duel of the Fates. Yeah, that's
So
the song for the duel. at the end of the film
I
with
mean, that is
yeah.
actually, like, one of the greatest scenes in Star Wars ever, is, like, the Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Maul. That is that would have been an amazing, battle, a duel or whatever you wanna call it. That would have been amazing had they built up everything properly into that scene. That
Mhm.
scene was fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, you didn't even need Anakin in this movie. Maybe show us just an adventure of Obi-Wan with Qui-Gon and how he's sort of, you know, rising
Mhm.
or becoming a better Jedi or whatever it is, and then, incorporate if you wanna bring Anakin the kid to that movie, you do it at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end, they find something I don't know what happens, they give him his Padawan, and this is like I'm talking the last 5, 10 minutes of the movie, you throw that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so much they could have done to make these better, and I think if Lucas had been in the state of mind to actually recognize that he was not God's gift to cinema, and that perhaps finding some talented people to collaborate with who could help him with his writing, who could help with plotting out this new trilogy and everything, uh, not making large sections of the film about trade regulation.
Yeah,
Might have been a good idea. And there's other things too. Someone in the chat mentioned who it was talking about like building your movie around toy sales, right? That really was the biggest problem that caused major issues with Return of the Jedi. There were actually people that left, people that didn't want to be part of making Star Wars anymore because they realized that George was just like, he was all about trying to figure out how to change the movie so he could get, maximum amount of money out of toy sales, right? And it's like that's not tell a really great movie, or tell a really great story with good characters, and there will be toy sales. People will want to have those things, but no, you had to tell the story in a way that it was told so that we fit as many little characters and things in here so we can sell the most toys. Yeah, that was definitely something that was a problem. And
but somehow in
also,
Return of the Jedi still got away with it.
yeah,
I
they did. I mean, I was, Return of the Jedi is clearly the weakest of the original
It
trilogy.
probably is the weakest. I
It
think
does have some good bits. It does have some. I mean, the fight at the end,
with the Emperor and Vader, that is what really holds this movie together.
yeah,
It's those scenes you walk away from that are so powerful that you somehow let it slide that whole thing with the Ewoks and Han and Leia is
yeah,
kind of, and
yeah.
that they're just blowing up another Death Star with Billy D. Williams. I mean, it was fine. It just felt like something else could have been, it doesn't feel like he brought the least new to the table in that movie, except for the whole Emperor. And the Emperor part was done fantastic. That
Yes,
was done it was done so well that you almost forgive the movie for its flaws, or
yeah,
you actually do forgive it.
yeah. And I enjoyed the space battle in that film too. I really do
Yeah, I
enjoy
mean,
that.
don't get me wrong.
It's special effects wise for the time, absolutely incredible.
I've seen
What they
this
were able to
movie
do.
a million times.
Yeah,
Those 3 movies, like, they mean a lot to me, even though I still have issues now with everything that I've seen with Disney. Maybe over the next 5, 10 years, someday I sit there and I'm like, I want to watch these original movies, and it'll suddenly have that effect again. But for now, everything that Disney has done has achieved the opposite effect.
absolutely. Yeah, I think when it comes to what has happened since, what has happened with it since it's been taken over by Disney, yeah, it's a disaster. I
It's the
mean,
worst takeover I've ever seen of
yeah,
of, like, anything. There couldn't be, like, a worse scenario than what happened with this franchise. It's the poorest management, poorest creative direction, and to be handed, like, the golden goose and to make it like a dead brand is just it's almost like, the movie Brewster's Millions?
yes.
Did you see the one with Richard Pryor? I know there was an earlier one, maybe a later one, but did you see the one with Richard Pryor? Which one did you see?
Oh, you know, Richard Pryor, yeah.
Because I think
Absolutely.
there's a few versions of that movie.
There might be, but no, yeah, absolutely. I've seen the original.
So,
Yeah.
you know how he's kind of like today, I don't know that it wouldn't make sense with 30 million. I feel like we could spend it easily, but they gave him $30 million, and if he spends all of the 30 million in like 30 days, he then gets 300 million.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So basically, he keeps trying to waste this like money, and like there's certain things he's allowed to do, and there's certain things that he's not allowed to do. But in any case, it's like the idea is that it's difficult for him to spend the 30 million, and in the same kind of thought, I feel like you have to do so much damage for Star Wars to be worthless. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like a Brewster's Million type of movie. You're you. I give you Star Wars, and like with it, you manage to ruin it. It's like you have to work hard in order to ruin that.
It's impressive how much damage they've been able to do.
Right. I mean, you think like in my wildest dreams, I couldn't think of the things they did to ruin it. Meaning, I'll put it this way: if for some reason, like we did a quantum leap, I don't know, and like I quantum leap into Lucas. I don't sell Star Wars, and then I'm in charge of Star Wars. Okay, so in this case, I'm not saying that I in charge of Star Wars would mean that it stays as the number one brand in the world. Maybe I'd make mistakes. Maybe some of my stuff that I would do wouldn't be good. But I know one thing: it wouldn't be bad like this. It wouldn't be in a situation where you're attacking your fans and you're doing all this weird propaganda with all these, extreme feminist weird stuff. It wouldn't be anything like that. The worst you could say is, "Oh, well, he didn't really break new ground, but he's kind of just doing familiar things that worked." But they didn't even do familiar things that worked.
No, not at all.
Like, how many stupid shows and movies have we had? When was the last time you saw like a Jedi that's a man gets up and like does something and act like a hero? In Star Wars. When has this happened under Disney? Can't think of a situation where there's like somebody feels like a hero, like you're like, yeah. Like and that person gets up and he's like, take charge and doing something. One
The
one dude that doesn't look like an idiot.
Yep, the finale of season 2 of Mandalorian. Yep, when we got Luke coming back, tearing up all of those, dark troopers, and then uh, taking Baby Yoda, taking Grogu with him, right? Like he showed up and he kicked ass.
Right. That was the
Just
last
just just like we wanted to see Luke do. We wanted to see him use his powers of the Force, use the skills that he's learned with his lightsaber to actually like really have a fight. We didn't really get to see that in Return of the Jedi, right?
No, and this made
He
people
threw
at
his
Lucasfilm
lightsaber away.
miserable. This made people at Lucasfilm miserable that they put that in there. That was something that Favreau insisted on doing, and all these other people were miserable. That's why Pablo Hidalgo was then laughing at Star Wars Theory that cried watching it because, this was something that they didn't want, and the second they put it on, it was like breaking the internet. It was the most fan goodwill that this, company had in years.
Mhm.
And what do? They fire Gina Carano, which already annoyed people. And then season 3, like The Mandalorian, immediately like some woman puts him in his place every 2 seconds. He's an idiot, even more than he was prior. And all those stupid Book of Boba Fett with the Vespa gang and I don't know what. I'm trying to think of all
Great.
the crappy stuff. The Acolyte, Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah, Ahsoka.
Man, man, they couldn't. This is like 70 million hours of Star Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Even on Obi-Wan Kenobi's show, he couldn't come off feeling like a hero. They wouldn't even let that slide.
No, he just keeps running away from Vader.
He runs away and he's like a loser and bum and has no confidence. He's just like an idiot. That's not how we left him off in Revenge of the Sith, by the way.
Yeah.
He didn't come off to me like he's now some miserable jerk off. He seemed like he was composed and on top of his game, knowing that he has a really important mission now. And it seemed it's between that movie and the Obi-Wan we see later, it looked like that was the Obi-Wan that was confident in what he was doing, and then we got to see an older Obi-Wan that's also confident in what he's doing. So it wasn't clear that in the middle there would be a time where Obi-Wan is a miserable,
Was mis-
miserable jerk off,
miserable, broken old white man. Yeah,
broken old
that's what
white
everyone
man,
wanted to see when they
jerk
wanted
off.
their.
It
They
didn't look
thought
like he would be a jerk off.
they
Sorry, Marla.
they thought we want to see an Obi-Wan series. Yeah, make sure he's a real, just miserable douche who doesn't want to help out at all and just wants to hide away because he's too scared. Like, yeah, that's what we wanted to see with our Obi-Wan series, right? We want to see him dragged out of his lovely job as a butcher in the desert with giant desert tuna or whatever the hell that was. Uh, we wanted to see him dragged away from his little job uh, to go help a little girl who's going to boss him around the whole series. That's what we were all looking for when Obi-Wan.
And then she doesn't even remember she ever met him in A New
Yeah.
Hope, which, like, that's already, like, talking about breaking canon and doing stupid things, that is bonkers. You know what I mean? That's like a spit in the face to anybody that,
Yeah.
treats this franchise with any kind of seriousness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, remember that time you were kidnapped and this guy showed up and rescued your ass and brought you home? No,
I mean,
I don't
they
remember that.
they barely got away with it that in Return of the Jedi, he says, "Do you remember our mom?" And the answer doesn't really go hand in hand with the end of Revenge of the Sith,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
somehow, and that's even that letting that slide has always annoyed me. But compared to that, letting slide that she spent like weeks with him during a kidnapping that he rescued her, and she doesn't know who he is, that is bonkers. Nobody's ever even explained this. They didn't care enough to even make an excuse. You know what I mean? Nobody came out from Lucasfilm and said, "You know what? You don't know the full story. There's something else." Even their stupid bullshit like off-screen comic book, they didn't even bother to do that. They're just like, "Fuck it. Sorry, Sean, and sorry, Marla. Marla seems like a good person, so sorry to you."
Yeah. What's Drew Gordon got to say here? What was worse, Ahsoka or Kenobi?
Oh, man. That is such a difficult question.
Okay. Okay, I'll go first. Kenobi did more damage to canon. It was terrible. But as far as which is the worst, like just absent of its connection to other things, Ahsoka is not just bad; it is awful. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's just terrible.
Uh,
I would put it up against the Acolyte in how bad that show is.
yes,
The
Ahsoka is
thing that
awful.
the only thing that rescues Ahsoka was having the sort of gray Jedi mercenaries that were there. You had
And the actor died,
Ray
Ray Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson there. Yeah, that was the only thing that rescued that show was that character was interesting. We wanted to know more about who he was and what his mission was and what he was trying to do. And we wanted to learn more about that. And of course, unfortunately, Ray Stevenson passed. And so if they even get a second season, we're not even going to get him playing the role. We're going to get somebody else. But that was all that saved it. The character of Ahsoka was miserable. She was uninteresting, just
It was
standing around
terrible.
crossing her arms all the time and trying to be stoic and stuff. You had absurd things like her jumping around in a spacesuit with lightsabers to fight starships that they
Oh,
were
that was
fighting
so
with.
stupid.
Unbelievably dumb.
I wanna give Ahsoka a compliment, though. A compliment is a strong word, but I wanna give a compliment to Ahsoka. As bad as Ahsoka was, the Acolyte was still worse.
Yeah,
I know that's a
yeah.
tough thing to say because they're so, like, if one of them has, like, 2 points out of 100, the other one has, like, a 0 out of 100, so
Yeah.
I guess, like, Ahsoka would be the 2 out of 100. But has, like, the Acolyte would be, like, a 0 out of
Yeah.
100.
I think for me, the reason that I hate Acolyte more is because it ruined characters that otherwise I liked. I enjoyed Rebels. I liked that show. It wasn't the best Star Wars show ever, it wasn't the best Star Wars ever, but
No, it
it had
wasn't the
some
best.
really likable characters, it had some characters that you really grew to love.
I didn't
Es
mind Kanan, I didn't mind, Ezra.
Ezra,
Yeah,
I
I
liked
liked
Ezra
Ezra
as a
Bridger, yeah.
character as he grew throughout the series, he grew and he experienced loss and he changed and he grew
A
into a
man.
man who was willing to sacrifice himself to save his friends, to help deal with Thrawn. And it ruins the character of Ezra.
Totally ruined it.
And
The only guy they could have brought, and not even the fact that they could have made him a little more diverse, even that didn't keep him from making him a
yeah,
male idiot.
yeah,
Meaning, like, honestly, I have to give Lucasfilm credit for one thing. It doesn't matter if you're a man of color or not of color, whatever titles they like to call people. It doesn't matter if you're a diverse man or not diverse. If you're a man and there's a Lucasfilm property, you're a loser and an
yeah,
idiot.
yeah, it's they're equal opportunity when it comes
Equal
to that, yeah,
opportunity. Every single thing, they don't care. They don't care. They don't discriminate in that sense. You could be
and
from anywhere. If
yeah.
you're a man and you're straight, you
Oh,
there's
yeah, absolutely.
not. Give me one example. Nothing. You're
No.
always a jerk off on their shows.
Even the bad guys, that was the other thing, that's the other thing. I love the character of Thrawn. I have enjoyed the character of Thrawn since the Heir to the Empire books that really brought Star Wars back in the '90s. It brought it back in the expanded universe of novels and comics and everything. I really like the character of Thrawn. I've read, like, every single Thrawn book that's out there. They ruined Thrawn, just destroyed that character. This pudgy dude standing around going, "Oh, everything's going according to plan." Yeah, no, that is not Thrawn. That's an idiot's idea of Thrawn. I hated that so much. Really, I just yeah, the Acolyte is an abysmal pile of garbage. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen, and there are scenes literally in that show that are so bad would laugh out loud watching them.
So I only
Especially
have a few things.
yeah, especially, the killing of the witches in the last in the next to last episode when she, Trinity comes in and does her little mind meld thing on the Wookiee, and all the witches die at once and flop over dead. I laughed out loud. That was so incredibly dumb. But
I think I know
uh,
what you're talking about. I
yeah,
listen, man. I've
you
been
just
blocking
blocked it
that
out
thing
of your
from my mind, but yeah, there's some kind of nonsense like that.
hey, Baraktra says, "Don't hold back. Tell us how you feel." That's what I'm doing, Betty, and that's it. Just laughably bad. But Ahsoka, it made me so mad. Boosh says he didn't like Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I did not mind Rosario Dawson. I think
I
she is a talented actress. It was just written so badly.
She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do, and Dave Filoni is not a live action man, and it's
Yeah,
obvious from this that he's not a live action man, or he
yeah,
needs a lot of work in that department. He did not know what to do with Rosario Dawson. I think
yeah,
he was thinking like animated characters because that's what he's used to,
sure.
and he didn't know how to explain the whoever's idea it was, and I'm sure it wasn't Rosario Dawson, that she never like it never even has a moment that she's semi upbeat or there's something a little more lively about her that she just looks like a sourpuss all the time.
Yeah. Well,
Whoever
remember
thought that? What'd you say?
remember she comes back as Ahsoka the White, and
Yeah,
then
so
suddenly she smiles sometimes. But my biggest problem with her was simply that she clearly did not get the type of training that she needed to be able to do the sword fights, to be able to do
Oh,
the
absolutely
lightsaber
not.
fights.
She looked
She
awful in
was
those.
moving really slowly, and her strikes looked sloppy, and it was embarrassing. It looked awful, and I honestly I do not put that on her. I put that on whoever was in charge of the direction, whoever was in charge of, yeah, getting the actors trained and doing the choreography, because it just looks embarrassing when she's trying to do it.
I There's a few things I want to address. First of all, Boosh McFadden has been a member for 2 months.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Boosh. And
Hey,
the Dead Man has joined. He is now a leaper. That's what it's called
hey.
here on this channel.
Yes, thanks to
And he
Dead
has
Man.
like a little oh boy thing. I'm gonna add some stuff to it. I'm gonna add some stuff to this. I just didn't get to recently. I'm gonna add more stuff for people that are subscribed. Although I am really proud of the shields I made.
Yep.
That's the only
We
thing.
need to we need to get some more emojis in there for sure. Yeah,
For
so
sure, yeah, we have to. I'm gonna work on that. The Dead Man gave a $2 super chat, and he says, "The power of many."
the power of
Man, that was so
one,
embarrassing.
the
That was
power of
so
two,
embarrassing. That is the most embarrassing moment of Star Wars, and there's so many embarrassing ones,
easily,
and that has to be the most embarrassing one. Most
easily.
cringe.
Oh,
The
jeez.
cringe meter off the
Yes.
charts. The cringe meter is broken after that scene.
When I could hardly believe when Chris Gore was saying, "Oh, just wait for episode 3." You might think these first couple episodes are bad, but wait for episode 3. And then it came, and we were all just dumbfounded. Man, yeah, the power of many. Yeah. Oh, teach us about the thread. Thanks. Jeez. More
Yeah, that
more
was so
lesbian
dumb.
space witches. We need more lesbian space witches in Star Wars.
It's
We
ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I want to read this comment here by Marla Sharonov. The only jerk I have a problem with is Preston Hanvey. He's still harassing my family in the entertainment industry.
Yep.
I don't know if you know, there's some kind of petition that Marla has, and you should check that out. The petition. There's somebody bothering her family, and she's been trying for a while to get people to sign this petition. That maybe somebody will take this seriously. If you get a chance, you
Yeah.
should look at it. I know some people from around here that have met her on streams. I know some people have lent their signature. It seems like a strange situation, so you guys should check it out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's some serious creeps out there. So
Unfortunately, on the internet, there are some weirdos, but Marla has her reasons because, you know, some people know her sister, so she just thinks somebody's trying to take advantage of that.
yep, that is frustrating. Yeah, but I believe she had a change.org petition out
She
there.
did, she did.
Yep. Yeah, I
Uh,
am really sorry that you and your family have to deal with that, Marla. That's very, very unfortunate.
it's kind of a s
I wish it was easier to shut down creeps on the internet. It's way too
Mer
easy for them to be weirdos and to do creepy things like that. And
It's tough.
uh
It's tough to enforce
yeah.
anything today. It's tough to do anything, and, you know, these days, the world is different than it used to be. There were challenges then, there's different challenges today. There was something else that I wanted to say, but I'm trying to think, what was it? I'm trying to see. Oh, I like Rosario, but she's not a good actress. Let me see for a second. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Stephen Mack. I like Rosario, but she's not a great actress. And here's what I think. First of all, I think she's a pretty good actress. And there's one thing. There's actors that are like Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, no matter what happens, he's the best. He's like just such a good actor. You have actors like that. sometimes you have actors that may not be the best actors out there, but they bring a certain energy and presence that people like. Now, he's overexposed and been in a million movies, somebody like The Rock, or you know what? A better example, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, I don't think anybody thinks that this guy is like a Shakespearean actor. I think that the main good thing about Keanu Reeves is that you like him and he has a good vibe and he takes his roles seriously, does whatever he does, and you kind of like the guy. That just helps. He acts very similar in a lot of these roles, and you're okay with that because you like his overall vibe and his whole thing. Uh, Gal Gadot, I think people will say, and maybe it's true, is that she may not be the best actress ever. I also think that she has to speak a different language, and maybe that's a barrier sometimes. But what I'll say is that if you watch Wonder Woman, one of the reasons people like that movie is she has a likable presence on screen.
She
Not
does.
only the fact that she doesn't look bad, which certainly helps, but I mean she has like an energy that feels positive to people. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
the reason Professor's like, "What do you want from me?"
No, no. I understand. I know what you're saying.
So, I guess what I'm saying is that Rosario Dawson, uh, I think she's actually a better actress than Gal Gadot, by the way, but I'm saying that I think that she has this natural likability. Whenever until this day, if there's a movie and she's there or a show and she's there, usually, like, my vibe is good. I like her. And I think that that would have been a good fit for Ahsoka. You wanna like Ahsoka. But for
Mhm.
some reason, instead of using Rosario Dawson for the qualities she does have, which is she brings this kind of likable energy, and to really incorporate that into the character, they're like, fold your arms, pretend you're a dude, and make sour faces. And she did what she was told, and it just didn't come out good. That's my interpretation. What do you think, Professor?
Yeah, I do. I don't blame her at all. In what happened with her portrayal of Ahsoka. I think it was entirely had to do with the script she was given and the direction that she got. And again, when it came to the absolute embarrassment that was her, fighting in the series, which was slow and sloppy and inconsistent. That all comes down to the direction. That all comes down to the people who are training her in the stunts. And did they insist that she go to extra training and make sure that she knew how to do? Because I mean, if you go look at some of the previous people who've been in lightsaber duels fights in series as well as in the films, they had to train endlessly. I mean, to the point that you get some of these actors they're basically like, yeah, I think I could probably do all the moves again today because I spent so much time practicing all this stuff. I know exactly how it was done.
Even when they
So
brought actors for this thing, they didn't even take it seriously. Meaning, like,
yeah,
Ewan McGregor didn't put the effort he put into Phantom Menace that he didn't put that here.
no, no, yeah, well, thanks a lot, Disney. Yeah, the Disney Star Wars has just been just one disaster after another. I mean, granted, you've got I did enjoy um Rogue One. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it was an interesting story. It had a couple some interesting characters, right? I enjoyed that. I I enjoyed several other things that they've made, including uh well, okay, there's not much that I've enjoyed.
I think that Rogue One has a final act that was reshot and done pretty well. That's the main good thing about that movie.
Yeah,
There's so many issues with Rogue One. If we honestly sat and put it down and put it on now and watched it, there is a lot of things that don't quite work in that movie. And overall, and I know this is a silly thing because I don't really know how to explain it, but what I consider the Star Wars feel, except for that third act where it really feels that way, there's a lot throughout up until that moment that doesn't work well. Between the pacing and something about the storytelling, there's isolated scenes like that. The guy that plays Krennic, I liked that there was a guy that played her father. There were a few things that were interesting in Rogue One, but they don't come together well. And honestly, I'm going to also say this again with the stupid strong and reserved woman or whatever they're going for. Not only does it not work, I actually don't. I don't love Felicity Jones. I
Yeah.
know that's a crappy thing for me to say. She hasn't done anything bad to me. She's not a terrible actress. She somehow doesn't it's not my thing. I don't love Felicity Jones, and I especially don't love her in Rogue One. And then the other person, which is Diego Luna, he simply and there's no other nice way to say it, English is his second language, but it's very much did something happen?
No, you're good.
Something changed.
Oh, you
Anyhow.
just yeah, just the window got closed.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
don't mind that. So basically, what was I saying before the window got closed?
Oh, just the Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. Okay. The man speaks English like a second language, but I was talking about like Gal Gadot. I actually think that her English is better than his. Somehow the way he speaks and communicates, it really feels, this is my personal opinion, that he's struggling. And when somebody is struggling and you don't believe that that's what he's really saying and it's not his language and it's very, very clear, uh, that's an issue. Some people, it's not an issue. I'm saying that in his case, it's an issue. I've seen him perform like, on Mexico's Narcos or whatever it is. He was fine in that. He speaks Spanish. He speaks Spanish to other people. You could tell that it's already like all of his acting that you've seen to date, raise that by like times 2 or 3. You know what I mean? Like significantly better. He's there. You believe he's doing whatever he's doing. It totally works. In this thing between him not bringing the language, not really bringing any kind of charisma. I don't know if he can bring charisma or not. He doesn't do it here. And Felicity Jones is like a charisma vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm saying is there's nothing there that to hold on to. Imagine you had Rogue One, okay? You had Rogue One, and your stars were Emily Blunt and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, imagine she's the one with the rebel, and Bradley Cooper is like the badass guy that's joined her. That would be interesting. That's the kind of vibe we needed. And when I say Bradley Cooper, think of like the cocky vibe of Bradley Cooper, because he has different such things that he can do. Think of like Bradley Cooper like he was in Limitless, even like he was like a little bit in The Hangover, but not really. But you know what I'm trying to say? More kind of he brings a little something that he's a bit cool, and Emily Blunt is like appealing, especially during that year. You know what I mean? That would have been a great year to cast them both.
Sure.
And if you even write a screenplay that's not a joke and don't do the whole I'm a woman and you're a stupid man, they don't do it as much in Rogue One as maybe some other stuff, but like if you could have done something that they're both acting heroic and you're really like enjoying, this kind of interaction between them and what they're working, there was something to work with here.
Yeah.
The only people in that movie that act in a way that I think is at least interesting, and here this is strange because he had a language barrier, Donnie Yen, but Donnie Yen is probably the best person in this movie.
Yeah, he's really good.
Like the part that like out of all the people that were dying there towards the end, the only person I cared about was like Donnie Yen and the other guy that he was with. I thought that the part that he's sort of blind, sort of, and like he's doing that thing at the end, that's the only thing that felt Star Warsy for me. But that was such a brief moment.
Sure enough.
And I guess what I'm saying is we were talking about people that sometimes maybe they don't have to be the best actors, but they bring a certain energy on screen. Out of all the actors in that movie, Donnie Yen was good. Forrest Whitaker is a good actor, and I don't mind him as Saw Gerrera. I just feel like they didn't know what to do with him in this movie. He does almost nothing.
Yeah, no, it just sits around, and croaks out some dialogue.
That part that they release an octopus to suck like some guy's brain out or something, like the thoughts out of him or whatever that was, man, that was some dumb crap. That was some really dumb crap, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yeah, that was very strange. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're gonna give you a brain sucking thing that can steal the thoughts out of your head.
Exactly. It's like, we don't
Okay,
trust you. Here's a brain
sure.
sucker.
Uh-huh.
So weird. I can't remember because you know what? Some of these movies, I knew when I was watching them that there was something that disappointed me about them, and I didn't want to watch them again. I think that Rogue One, maybe I've seen it twice to date. Once for sure, I saw it in the theater. I may have watched a second time, at home. Not even sure if I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. It's been
Uh,
quite some time since I've sat down and watched
They don't
watched
have any.
that
That's
movie.
another thing. They have nothing with rewatchability. There's nothing that you want to rewatch from Disney Star Wars. You don't want to, rewatch. Certainly, you don't want to rewatch The Last Jedi. You don't want to rewatch Rise of Skywalker. That's a dead trilogy. Now, I'm embarrassed to tell you that The Force Awakens, I probably saw, you know, twice or three times in the movie theater, and then a number of times at home.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ashamed to admit it, but the only reason is because like they fooled me. But the main fooling is that I thought that Force Awakens was just a way to restart the franchise, and that basically the Last Jedi is going to start doing stuff that I'm really interested in. And in
Mhm.
order to get to that point where Luke is coming back, I was willing to let a lot of crap slide, and that was a mistake.
Mm. Yeah. I think a lot of people
I think a lot of people think that you're a wonderful, Price. Well, thank you, Professor. That was very
that
kind of you to say.
yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think a
Exactly
lot
what
of
he was
people
going for.
love, The Price of Reason,
Oh,
and,
no.
no. No, you're gonna drop out. Oh, there he goes. Called it. Oh, and yeah, Price was saying all sorts of flattering things about me as well there, yeah.
Absolutely. Like,
So, yeah, I, yeah. God, what else is there to say? Yeah. Star Wars is, Star Wars is dead. Long live Star Wars, you know?
yeah, unfortunately, it almost feels like a point of no return. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, something can still happen, but there's
If,
no what?
if Star Wars, if they just stop after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is a huge flop, which it will be. Nobody cares about Baby Yoda anymore. Star Wars fans have all walked away. The real fans, anyway. All you've got left are the shills and the wine moms, and so all the people who are going to go see it in the movie theater are going to be the people who think that the Star Wars is always the best and everything Star Wars is amazing, which is not the case. There's been lots of terrible Star Wars. So the only people who are going to go see it are the ones who are suckered into going to a movie theater and don't have Disney Plus, because it'll be on Disney Plus in 6 weeks after the movie comes out anyway. So most people are just going to wait to watch it on Disney Plus, like they did the rest of the series, right? So when that's a flop, when that's a disaster, if they just stop making Star Wars for a while, put it in the vault, or best possible thing that could happen would be sell it to somebody.
Well, there were rumors that they're trying to sell it. I still don't know if those rumors are true or not, but
Yeah,
Because think
there's
about it, if they sold it, how would that even work? They already have all these stuff like, they have Galaxy's Edge, what, they're gonna tear that down?
Oh, no, they would have all sorts of that's probably why they haven't been able to sell it. Genuinely, I would guess, either they're insisting that they basically get 6, billion for it or something, which they're not gonna get because 'cause they've destroyed all the value that once existed in that property. I if it was worth 4.05 million or whatever they paid, 4.05 billion, excuse me, that they paid for it when they bought it. It's worth half that now. I mean, they've destroyed the franchise, and they probably had some pretty heavy writers on there saying, "Well, we'll sell it to you, but we still have all the rights to use it for this, and we still have all the rights to use it for that, and oh, and if you make toys, you have to sell it. You have to give us part of the money from it. You know what I mean? Like it was not really going to be a sale. It'd be almost like them leasing the property to somebody else to make films and stuff. So my guess is even some very interested parties just looked at all of the conditions of the sale and just said, screw off, right? There's no way we'd make such a terrible deal. Uh, but if they were able to sell this off, and if another group were able to come in and take control of it and say, all right, well, everything that Disney made, that's in its own alternate universe, and we don't care about that stuff. We're going to go back and start telling stories from after Return of the Jedi, right? And if they recast and they did a good job recasting, some of the original characters, they got good writers in who could actually write interesting stories, maybe even did what they should have done from the beginning and paid to license everything that Timothy Zahn wrote in the Heir to the Empire books, which were massively successful and beloved
They
by
had such
the
good
Star Wars.
material to work with. They had
Amazing,
such good material to work with.
amazing. the the books, specifically the books written by Timothy Zahn, are all stellar. He understands who those characters are and how they interact with each other. If they were just to say, you know what, yeah, fine, we're going to pay Timothy Zahn, we're going to find screenwriters, we're going to come in and we're going to take these characters and write this, make these films out of these, even if they had to recast, even if they made them as animated films, you know they could tell some outstanding Star Wars stories in film, and they could do that and make billions. But instead, no, we want to throw it all away. We want a female Jedi instead. Nope, we want to make it so everybody has got the Force. Woo! Everyone's got it. And we can have all of these Jedis, and then we can talk about how awful the Jedi actually were, because these awful fascist Jedis, whatever. It's just it's gotten so completely out of hand. If it is still in Disney's pocket, Star Wars is doomed. Period.
I understand. By the
That's
way,
yeah. That's how I
I'm
feel about
just
it.
I'm just looking at the topics.
Yeah.
Disney Snow White. Did you see the video I posted about Disney Snow
I
White
did.
reviews?
Yeah. There's some very shilly reviews out there for this movie already.
Did you like the video though? I really
I
I
did.
felt
Yeah.
I thought that I was trying something a bit different, you know what I mean? I tried like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a standard video for me because it was more of a news story. It was more of like an investigative news story, I
Yeah.
guess that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Reading just kind of looking at what a lot of different people were saying about it and stuff. Yeah. So it's gosh. Yeah.
Let me hold on one second. First of all, I have to fix this banner.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
very serious here at
Moving
Price
on.
of
Moving
Reason
on.
Studios. We're
Yeah.
very serious about our banners. Uh, Snow White Fishy Reviews. Okay, Snow White Fishy Reviews. So basically, I'll just sum up what I talk about in my video, but without going into like a million details. I just want to show you this article from Variety. Or better
Oh,
yet, something happened?
no.
Hold on. What's I have something I wanted to show. Before that, I want to show a tweet, and then I'm going to show you. Let me see. Then I'm going to show you. Here you go. This is it. So, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So, what does this lady say from Variety? Rachel Zegler is a shining supernova in Snow White, beautifully embodying the graceful, gentle nature of the OG Disney princess. It's a visual feast with show-stopping new musical numbers and, of course, dozens of animated animals. The screenplay wisely gives its heroine newfound depth through her fervent desire to become the leader her father believed she could be, and a love story that's as sweet as apple pie. Now, this lady, she was invited to like a VIP premiere before anybody
Oh yeah.
else, where they did something with like the cast and the crew in LA. So she comes out, she sees this. She's also saying the leader that she could be. That's the type of talk that Rachel Zegler said in that interview, that she wanted to be the leader that she could be, which just gives me the impression that these are talking points. Even Zegler, the nonsense that she said, may have been talking points that somebody gave her. She was just really poor at delivering them, and she's just annoying in general. But in any case, this lady seems very coordinated with whatever effort is going at Disney. But here's the part that's funny. I don't know. Did you see this Variety article?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you saw a video, so you must have seen it.
Yeah.
So what they do is, and this is the part that's kind of funny, they write an article, Snow White first reaction praise film as visual feast and as one of Disney's best live action remakes in years. So the visual feast is actually a quote from their own reporter. So their own reporter gets a special VIP tour and invite and all that stuff. Then that special VIP person from Variety, who's already chumming with them anyways, writes how great this is. Then the newspaper publishes an article that's relying on her testimony. Do you get why this is kind of weird?
Yeah,
Weird.
it's weird.
This is absolutely weird. And then they're there. There's also like, oh, a Variety film reporter, okay, Kathy Steffen praised the star. So they're just now regurgitating what she said. But the thing that's funnier, they're like, critic Christopher Rates wrote the film. This thing here. Now, do you know who Christopher Rates is?
Just yeah, it's just some
I showed
Twitter,
it in my video.
just some X
I
guy. Yeah, I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him before.
he
All I could tell from his X account is that every single review he gave was just a shill, you know, sounded like written by someone in PR or something.
he has he's followed by 812 people, and he follows 812 people. I feel like probably he got like 100 people just because of the exposure that he wrote. They invited to him. He doesn't seem to have any kind of following or presence online or anything. They bring this guy. He shills completely for the movie. Then the next thing you know, Variety is using him. Online critic. Wow, they elevated
Yeah.
him. You get what I'm trying to say? This is like the equivalent of like, you know, I can't even explain to you. It's like the kind of corruption that we talk about. They've manufactured a critic with like a stupid, like a thing that he says, and then they make that like as if that's worth something. Like when you're reading Variety, you have no idea that this guy has like 2 followers. And I'm telling you that as of yesterday he was following, I think, more people than he had followers because of this thing in the news in this trade publication, and that they put a link to it. He got a few extra followers. That he's like the authority. Do you understand the absurdity here?
Yeah. It's just this circular reference.
And he's the one that says it's one of their best remakes in years. So Variety, an industry newspaper that pretends to be super legitimate, super on top of like entertainment news, they're saying that it's the best live action remake in years, and Visual Feast, after their own person said Visual Feast, and a guy with no online presence that nobody's ever heard of said that it's one of the best remakes in years, and that's quoted. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I've never had that before, not in a good way. I've never had a situation that I posted something and immediately, like, Variety uses, like, I'm the headline. I know people with, like, millions of followers that don't get that treatment.
Yeah.
So,
It's
to say that it's fishy is an understatement. But,
yeah, it seems really strange. Yeah.
very, very strange. But they're doing this, and here's the other thing about kind of rigging the system. On one hand, they come out and they say there's an embargo. There's no reviews anywhere. Nobody can talk about this. There's no reviews until Wednesday. I don't know, late in the game. They basically, until the very last minute, don't want reviews to come out. They don't want Rotten Tomatoes. They don't want anything. They're stalling as long as they can. And in the meantime of having an embargo, which people seem to respect, they're also like, but wait, we we also want to release this article in the big trade that's saying that it's great
Yep.
based on early reviews.
Yeah. And
There's
yeah.
just something here. It's like they're using a filter. They're filtering out the bad
Oh,
reviews until the very
heavily,
last minute. It's one thing if
heavily.
they said, "Well, no reviews until that moment," but this is their loophole workaround that they have the reviews that they themselves to say. I don't want to allegedly orchestrate it. Okay, I'm not saying I don't know if they orchestrated it. It certainly feels very coordinated. Only they know exactly what happened there. But you understand what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, yeah. It's yeah. It's kind of gross, honestly, when you're like, yeah, there's oh, look, we're gonna pick and choose people who can review things. We'll let those reviews come out early, but then anyone else's reviews, those can't come out early. Those are gonna be those can only come out 24 hours before the release of the film. So does that mean that we get those reviews tomorrow, Price?
I mean, theoretically, I guess tomorrow we're going to be able to see some reviews. Yes, but
Yeah.
I think that it's not in the morning. I don't know if it's like 3 p.m. or it's in the evening or whatever it is. They are stalling as much as they can.
Oh yeah, they have to. Let's see.
And Mur Rockstar says Christopher rates it has a YouTube channel with 12 subs and no content. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like there are so many people that work hard out there to be, to be looked at as critics. I say that about myself as well. And I understand, I don't have the kind of numbers, let's say, that like a critical drinker has. And I understand why I probably wouldn't be the primary thing that a thing like Variety would quote as a critic. But i- say what you want about me, I have about 100 times the presence that this guy has. 100, I think. I don't know. I have significantly more of a presence than this guy. Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm not like at the top of the pyramid. And I know even people that have gotten started later or maybe have are just getting into things, and they have more than him. 12 subs is really not a lot.
No. I
Like,
think
if you and
I
I
might
just
have that many.
yeah, I mean, just so you know that I had a channel that was basically, like, dormant, and the other day, I decided it wouldn't be dormant, and I think that, I was on, like, Midnight's Edge After Dark today, and I mentioned it, and after, I mentioned it, I had, maybe, like, 17 new subscribers. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Oh,
Like,
no, yeah. I
me
know
one
exactly
time
what you
saying,
mean.
"Hey, can you guys, subscribe to this thing?" I had 17 new subscribers. This guy, and this is a new channel, okay? This guy has 12 subs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's strange, you know what I mean? And it's not like on the Twitter. I'm telling you that Twitter now is looking better for him because of this article. Prior to it, he was following more people that were following him, and he doesn't even have a lot of followers.
Oh, Mur Rockstar reports I have 14 followers on my channel. That's funny. Yeah, so it looks like the official review embargo is lifted at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I don't know if that's Eastern,
Eastern or Pacific?
but yeah, sometime
Is it
sometime.
Eastern?
I don't see whether it's Eastern or Pacific. So um, I'm guessing that might be. Yeah, I think that might be Eastern. So,
Well,
but
we'll
if it's
know something.
but if it's Pacific, then yeah, it would be a few hours later. But yeah, it'll be sometime tomorrow afternoon. It's when the official embargo for reviews drops. I guess the social media embargo has dropped, but then the only people who've seen it are mostly mostly shills who've gotten special showings. So, but of course, we wouldn't be saying that if Price got a special showing. He'd be telling us all about it. But
So, I have a surprise for you, Professor. Are you ready?
well, as long as we're not going to be watching episodes or watching Snow White on the stream.
No, we're not gonna
Okay,
do
no,
that. Hold on one
yeah.
second. Uh, let me see if I can share this. Okay, so the problem is I have to find a way to scroll it. How do I do this? No, I want it the opposite. Okay, I think I know what to do. So, as you can see, for my video, I screenshotted this.
Yeah.
Hold on. I have to do a zoom in. So, zoom out, I mean. I'm doing this all wrong. Okay. So yesterday, he had 794 followers and 810 people that he was following. And now after this day, he went from 794 to 812, and I guess
Yeah.
2 of those people he liked, so he followed back. I will say, though, is that considering that he's, like, on such a big thing on Variety, you'd think that more people would follow him. Maybe it's a sign that all of this, mainstream media, legacy media thing, no wonder they're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what, if you wanna go, like, conspiracy, one final thing I wanna show you. I have another theory. You're gonna think now I feel like a tinfoil hat man. I feel like, Irwin from Nerd Wars. My tinfoil hat theory is this: they, you know how when you get a Hollywood star, you don't just get it. You have to pay money, first of all, and sometimes it's like a studio does it for some reason. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sorry, I dropped out there for a second. What were you saying, Price?
I'm saying that, Hollywood stars, you know how you get a star on Hollywood Boulevard?
Yeah.
Usually, they get paid $75,000 to give you a star, and a lot of times you also need influence to make that thing work.
Yeah.
Now, today, Gal Gadot got a star on Hollywood, Boulevard, and, she thanked Disney. And the reason why I think she thanked Disney, who probably had representatives there, is I think that they really pushed to have this being given now, also before the movie, thinking maybe this'll help. Like, instead of
Sure.
all the crappy, all the crappy negative PR and all the Rachel Zegler stuff, they're just like, "Screw it." She seems nice, maybe a few people will like her and wanna support her. So, that's one thing. But the other thing is, and this is the more sinister thing that this is very conspiracy, is that I think that they did this because they wanted to stir up more controversy with the whole Israel angle.
Mhm.
There were, like, a few protesters that arrived there, but they were so few and, like, kind of negligible, but immediately, like, the trades and people were really trying to push this narrative that there was, like, all these, like, demonstrators from both sides arguing when she was getting her star. Are you with me?
Mhm.
Let me show you what I mean. and I think you're going to understand exactly. I'm now going to show you something. If we're in court, this is Exhibit A. Are you ready?
Yes. You may now
And I think
present
you're going to
Exhibit
like
A.
this. I really think that you're going to like it. So, remember Kathy Stevens that wrote the thing for Snow White?
Okay.
So, I'm sharing this tab. You see Kathy Steven?
Okay. Yeah.
You see Rachel Zegler is a shining supernova. She's the
Yes.
one that Variety later wrote the thing. So she seems
A
seemingly
supernova. Yes.
she seems like she's has a lot of like, how do I explain this? I want to be careful with what I'm saying. She seems very in tune with Disney and their PR effort. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah.
Seems that way. The
Yep.
next thing she does, this was on March 15th. Next she does, 11 hours later, in Hollywood, where Gal Gadot's Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony is about to begin, over a dozen pro-Palestinian protesters have gathered, chanting, "Not another nickel, not another dime, no more for Israel's whatever." So basically, this, considering what was going on there, these few people, this was like, they seem like such a low, half-hearted effort. It
Yeah.
almost feels like somebody
Yeah.
just planted them there, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Absolutely.
This doesn't look like a passionate, like, crowd of protesters to me,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
I think
they're each
Master
getting $40 an hour, $40 a day plus a free lunch, I'm sure.
Master of the TDS was laughing at this sign that, like, I don't know what, they have some
Yeah, I
animal
don't.
character. So you have that, and then the next thing you know, this lady doesn't even care. Once every few days, she tweets something, you know what I mean? Next thing you know, chanting pro whatever outside her Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony. Really trying to generate some interest here that nobody seems to give a shit about. Sorry, Sean. What do you have? Multiple protesters are handcuffed by police. Okay, first it starts, an altercation breaks out as a pro whatever steals a pro Israel flag outside the thing. This was such a minor thing. I'm not saying maybe there were two people that like had a fight. They really wanted to build this as like a much bigger thing.
They
You
did.
know,
Yeah.
yes, there was some person and they went and they arrested them, but this is not to do here. And then, like, scenes from the protests, like, that's all they're doing. They're not even showing the thing. They're desperate to show these like protests or whatever. And the reason why they're doing it because there's a few reasons that I thought of this. One, maybe because of everything that happened with Rachel and her comments, they thought maybe that people of Gal Gadot's background may not like this movie because they felt disrespected. Maybe this to them felt like, oh, there's a way to honor her. But at the same time, as much as she's being honored, they're also bringing that there, so it's like a balance. This just feels manufactured to me. I know that sounds weird, but weird. But you know what I'm trying to say?
Weird. Yep. It's so yeah, it feels manufactured. And yes, the timing of her getting her star on the Walk of Fame and everything absolutely feels coordinated. And there's it's so ugh, just oh, you all right there, Price?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. You continue to talk for a second.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. So yeah, this all just feels very, very coordinated and strange that, oh, well, we've got this movie coming out and, well, we're not really sure that maybe this movie is going to be all that great. And maybe we really need to get people into the theaters to see it. So let's,
And then they have like a variety article.
yeah, then they got the variety article and then they've got all of the,
and she's
all
the
of these-
source. She's
yeah.
the source for the article. Do you get how annoying this is? This is such a joke. Hollywood's Walk of Fame was disrupted by both pro this and pro that.
Yeah.
This just feels like there's some kind of reason this is happening, And all
All
of this is very
publicity is
suspicious.
good publicity, Price.
The
That's the
obsession, the
old.
obsession with these
Yeah.
pro whatever, and that her name was booed. Maybe they're hoping that, like, there'll be a sentiment of, like, this is manipulative, whatever this is.
Was it Captain Israel there showed up to the protest? Wow.
I guess, and then it's like, "We will not stand for anti-Semitism,
We're
blah, blah, blah." This is all just so weird. And look, she usually tweets, like, 1 tweet a year. Now there was, like, 70 tweets.
Oh, yeah.
The important thing that's ever happened. And between you and me, didn't know that if they're giving her this star now right before the movie things, like, the everybody was anticipating this, and I feel like they're trying to capitalize on it. You know what? And I'll give you the final. You want the final tinfoil hat theory? You know why this is happening?
Why?
Because it's called executive covering of asses. What do I mean? The movie flops. Bob Iger sits, like, with whoever he has to sit,
Yep.
and he says, "Well, there was so much controversy surrounding this movie. We couldn't have known how this whole, Middle East thing would play out. There's certainly, it wasn't something that we anticipated, and unfortunately, sometimes there's world events that also affect a production."
Yes, unfortunately, we did see some impairment at the box office due to the controversies of things happening in the Middle East, and unfortunately, that did impact our ability to make this movie as successful as we had hoped. However, we are going to shift some money from our right pocket into our left pocket, and then we're going to say that this movie was profitable. So, no worries.
What does this mean? This thing, price, and then there's a emoji next to it. I just don't understand what the emoji is.
As a robot, I think it was saying
W-
your voice was roboting.
Was I roboting?
Yeah, I don't know. It's happened a couple of times to me during the stream. I can't tell if it's me or you.
Oh, everything seemed all right to me, but who knows?
Yeah, it's Mary White says you were roboting a
I
bit.
was
But,
roboting a bit. Well,
yeah.
sorry about that. Hopefully, you still got the gist of what I was saying.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I never heard you drop out for more than a second or two.
For whatever it's worth, I actually watched the speech. Gal Gadot, fine.
Yeah.
She said whatever. I mean, she said whatever you're supposed to. But, and, I saw this week, you saw her on, like, I saw a clip of her on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I don't even like calling it The Tonight Show, because The Tonight Show implies that it's like Johnny
Yeah,
Carson.
that should
Uh,
be something like good.
Right, he shouldn't be called The Tonight Show, but whatever. Jimmy Fallon was interviewing her, and she's just very likable in interviews. She seems like a down-to-earth, pretty likable person. Sometimes these things are kind of hard to fake, and like the vibe she gives in an interview, so much more pleasant than Rachel Zegler. Even that VIP event where they have, like, children there. I saw, like, footage of the children talking to Rachel Zegler, and meanwhile, then you see the footage of, like, Gal Gadot talking to the kids. I'm telling you, Rachel Zegler comes off as awkward and weird, like, she's snooty even in the presence of these kids somehow.
She's weird.
She's like, "OMG, oh, you're so nice. This is so good. Your jacket is pink." But, like, I don't believe her, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, Gal Gadot, they're all, like, just standing around there, and she's just, like, talking to them, and you could tell that she's just, has a different level, like, of compassion and of, like, emotional understanding. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well, but it's such a contrast if you see Zegler with the kids and Gal Gadot with the kids. Very different.
Mhm. What is with this calling things a bop now? Why is this a thing? I've seen this now numerous times recently. People talking
This is
about
something.
music being a bop.
No, this is
Oh,
already some dumb, I don't wanna say the dent-headed word. This is some
okay.
stupid, kids thought this was, like, cool slang or something. This has
Yeah,
probably been going on for, like, 7, 8 years or something, that somebody's
yeah,
like, "Oh, it's a bop."
it's a
And,
bop.
like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
just seem
know.
to have heard it a lot in the last few weeks. But
No, I've
yeah,
actually I've been hearing this for years, like, this stupid "it's a bop." That's been around for a while now. Maybe now it's trickling more from, like, children to, like, more adults are saying it.
That
There's a
could be
few
it.
things that have like been popular over the past number of years. It's a bop. Uh, there's also oh, she really ate. Like if somebody
Yeah,
does
okay,
something
yeah, I've
that
heard that, yeah.
she ate. Like when I hear it, I'm embarrassed for the little
It
shits.
sounds so dumb.
It's like the
I've heard it.
cringiest slang ever. It's
Yeah.
so embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the little shits that came up with this and that like their other shits like adopted it.
Yeah.
It is like the worst adopted, dumbest. It's
So dumb.
embarrassing. So
Yeah.
like for a while you got it slaps, it's a bop,
Slaps,
she
yes.
ate. There's certain things. Our slang used to be so cool. This is like the shittiest slang. Sorry, Sean. The shittiest slang ever. That's what these kids have.
Yeah. Well, here's some of the early reviews as we wrap up talking about Snow White
This was
here.
in my video, but yeah, good to
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy,
we
yeah.
we've got this guy Paul Klein, saying, "Oh, really enjoyed the musical numbers. It's solid. Godot was fun. It's really the CGI dwarves that let the film down. The choice is baffling. Well, it is baffling. That's at least that
I
seems
was
genuine.
saying in my views that basically this guy is such a shill, and the fact
Oh
that
yeah,
this shill still said that the dwarves didn't look good, that's not a good sign.
no, that's not good at all. Okay, so we got another one, Chris Parker, excuse me, saying, oh, Zegler is outstanding. Her vocal performance elevated the old and new songs. I don't believe that. I've heard the soundtrack. The soundtrack's been available for a while. I don't think she elevates anything. I even found the dwarves to be fun. Everything else is just aimless, no real plot, weak villain, and many underdeveloped characters. Okay. Some mixed feelings there. Um, Rachel Zegler gives a genuine movie star performance, great vocals, and effortlessly charming. Yeah, sure. Pull the other one. But the rest of the film is unimaginative and dull. Okay. So
So
far, not aside from a couple of very
discussing
shill centric
commies,
reviews.
discussing commies, if they say that, that must be like not a good movie.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the script is a lot more solid than the trailers would have you believe. It's watchable, but the CGI is atrocious and the two leads are miscast. But it's more of an old school romance. What? Okay, sure. Um, yeah, but saying mixed bag from Rachel Reviews Movies in Theater there. People are gonna be surprised when they see Snow White. It's actually really good. Yeah, whatever. Uh-huh. Um, Rachel Zegler shines as Snow White. Who's this? Leo Rydell, Geekly Goods. Okay. The songs are beautiful and visuals stunning. Once the dwarves come in, they're a blast. Disney nailed it.
There's so many uneven things. Who's Leo Rydell? Can you click on his link?
Not a clue. Geekly Goods on YouTube.
Den Film Critics.
Yeah. So yeah, some YouTuber looks like. I mean, at least he's got a decent following on here. It's not just
Yeah,
800
no, it's
people.
better than the other
Yeah.
guy. This guy is better than the other guy. All right.
Denver Film Critics Society. Look, yeah. Well, anyway.
All I know is, Professor, nobody ever invites me to. I never get a call from
Yeah.
Disney saying, you know what? We're doing this premiere. We want you to see the movie. We're really confident about it.
A load of cute, says Chauncey K. Robinson. Zegler does the best she can with a character that mainly only has being good going for her. Okay. Interesting. While kindness as a tool of rebellion is a well-deserved message, overall the film is a dud. Story padding, abysmal design on the dwarves, and unmemorable new songs drag it down. Park performers are better Wicked Queens. Oh, ouch. That's harsh. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, some of the early reviews clearly a lot of
I mean, I I
shills.
I feel like this movie isn't gonna surprise me. They're saying things that I know. Rachel Zegler, even though, like I said, I don't like the soul or character of her voice, can hit the notes and can do at least technically, like, perform a song. I'm sure she can do that okay. Uh So if there's songs and she has to sing them, that's probably going to be her stronger parts. Gal Gadot, in my opinion, like I said about certain actors, she's not the type of actress, in my opinion at least, that I think to myself, "Oh, I need somebody with a lot of range for this role. She would be perfect." She is perfect when she's playing something that's closer to her real life energy. And when I say that, I mean something that capitalizes on her just general likability, and that's the role that she's given. Those are the roles that she's gonna shine in the most. Plus, she has a background in doing stuff like, that's athletic, which isn't bad. So between like, being more athletic and looking, you know, rather pleasant and having a good vibe, that's her strengths. Wicked Queen is not what I envision for her. You know what I mean? Like I absolutely wouldn't have cast her in that role. I just in my mind, I don't see it, you know what I mean? She just doesn't seem like she would be that.
No, it's a strange casting. Yeah, it's a strange casting to have
I
her.
mean, again, you may have an issue with, like, her accent, but I'm saying, like, if she was a young like, if she was, let's say, 20 years younger, and they said that she was like Snow White, at least looks-wise, Gal Gadot could have been, like, the vibe of a Snow White.
Hmm.
Somebody that just comes off as really pleasant and nice and, like, looks
Yeah,
nice. She
yeah.
could have totally done that role, if she was maybe, like, 15, 20 years ago, something like that, she could do it, in her youth or whatever you wanna call it. Rachel Zegler doesn't have natural likability. You need somebody. Forget about the diversity swapping or whatever you want to call it. Forget about all of that. She needs to actually give this vibe that you really like her, and Zegler cannot give that vibe. She just it's not in her toolbox. It's not in
No,
her acting toolbox. She can't
no.
make herself likable.
I know. I think you're right.
It's terrible casting for the movie, and
No,
this
no, it's bad. It's bad casting. It's one of those reviews said that the roles are miscast. It's not. It
It's
doesn't
the
fit.
exact opposite. Again, I understand, like, because of her age, and if you're looking for, like, a younger lady to be Snow White, and because of the accent, probably Gal Gadot wasn't the best option even for Snow White. But let's just say if you had, like, a young Gal Gadot and she at least looked the part, and you had this kind of bitchy. I don't prefer Susan Sarandon. I don't remember where she played, like, maybe it was in Enchanted, I don't know what, but she can play like an evil witch. I don't know in which movie they had like Angela Lansbury. I don't want. You need like preferably like a British woman who's like a really serious actress.
Sure.
Kate Blanchett. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Let me. She's Australian. I don't know what she is.
I think she's British.
I thought she was Australian, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyhow, Kate Blanchett, somebody like that.
Yeah, Australian. You're right. She's Australian.
Yeah, she's confusing because she does accents so well, you don't even know where she's from.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, she's a really good actress. I could see her bringing some kind of, like, you know, bad kind of she could have played an evil witch if she wanted to.
Oh yeah, it would work.
Also, she has kind of a strange look, Kate Blanchett. It's not necessarily a bad look, but she has kind of
No,
her own
no.
look. It's not bad, but, like, if you put, like, a Kate Blanchett of today's age, let's say, however old she is, and then you bring this, like, young maiden, and it doesn't have to be like a Gal Gadot, but somebody who at least looks on that, level of like, a young woman that's very pretty, and she has, like, she fits the bill, and she's very has a likable energy, I think that would have worked.
Yeah, yeah. Kate Blanchett did an amazing job playing Galadriel in Lord of the Rings.
For sure. No,
She
Kate Blanchett is a real
not only is she gorgeous and she feels like this almost ethereal creature when you're seeing her, but then when she takes that turn briefly to kind of show that how powerful and menacing and terrible she really could be, you're like, holy hell. I I don't want any of that, thank you. Right, she really sells that part. It's very
Uh,
well done.
I have Nudick says, just so you know, Price has met all the actresses he's mentioning.
Every one of them.
I wish I did, but I didn't meet any of these actresses. I mean, I don't wish I met Rachel Zegler, but I haven't met Kate Blanchett and have never been in any kind of event involved in any event that even if there were guests, she wasn't a guest at anything I was involved in. And Gal Gadot is the same. Haven't met her. Haven't been at any event, anything that she was involved in. So those are ones that I haven't. The one this is I'm trying to think what would be considered like a starlet like this that maybe I sort of met or something that would be interesting. So I was once there was a movie called I think The Nanny Diaries, and Scarlett Johansson was the star of that movie, and they were filming the movie and I was like around the set, and then she like would come out and she walked around, and I was basically because they were filming there and I just was curious. I was like a film student. And I was really curious. I uh I was able to see her just walk around and them filming her for it. And I'll tell you what, at that time I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't help that that movie kind of makes her try to look shabby, like they're putting her like in clothes that are not appealing. This is also before Avengers when I think she really hit the gym and started looking like, you know, spectacular. Yeah, the combination of that and the movie and all that stuff, I don't know if she had to gain weight for this role. Something about it just like, you know, with my luck, I guess the day that Scarlett Johansson looked like the worst her whole life, that's the day I saw her. And Jennifer Garner, I once was at an event where she was at, and she stood like really kind of next to me. We didn't talk. I didn't say anything, but I looked at her, and I will say this: I was impressed with Jennifer Garner. Like in reality, I'm kind of okay with her, but like my thoughts about her actually when increased, like they went up after me seeing her live. She just has like a more of a presence, like she's tall and I don't know. She seemed like tall and rather pretty and it was more impressive like live. So hopefully I have Nudick. I gave you some insight here.
The nanny, the dead man's asked the Nanny Diaries. Is that about Nancy Pelosi? No, I thought no, no, I don't think
No,
that's
the
it.
Nanny Diaries was that there was like a couple that had a boy. Man, this movie was a piece of shit. Sorry, Sean. This movie was a piece of shit. I was excited because I saw them filming part of it. So at the end, I'm like, well, I'll go see the movie. It's probably good. It was a piece of shit. It was awful. It's something like there's a rich couple. I don't know if it's supposed to be happening in the past in New York, like a period piece, or it's happening in modern day. None of that even matters. The bottom line is that there's a couple that have like a boy, and they want like an au pair lady. So they give her like her own kind of even unit that she sleeps in, I think, and she takes care of the boy. And it's like a huge, you know, it's a great job because you get to be in New York. You're getting your room and dorm, room and dorm, whatever I'm looking for.
Yeah,
What's room and
room and
board?
board.
Yeah, I say dorm, room and board. It's a late hour. You get the room and board, and you get paid or whatever it is. And she liked the son, and it was all great. And then something happens. I'm trying to wonder if it was something like the husband hit on her. Maybe it was like an early anti-patriarchy movie. I don't remember. Maybe the husband tried to hit on her. At the end, she's out, and then she gets really upset because the kid. She feels like his parents suck, and that, like she was really helping the kid, and then she's not there for him, or some dumb shit like that. Sorry, Sean. In any case, this movie is crappy. That's the Nanny Diaries.
Quick review there. of the Nanny Diaries.
I think
Probably all the review that it deserves, honestly.
you know what? I as a person that hasn't seen that movie in probably like 15 years or I don't know, 20, I don't even know when this movie came out. Considering that I never revisited it and I didn't care about it and I didn't even like it, that is a surprising amount of information that I knew about it, that I like remembered seeing in the movie.
Hmm.
But
All right,
yeah,
let's see. What was our last topic? We were going to talk about Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed, that's our last one.
Assassin's.
I just want to say that Estefobos sent me some guy like Emmanuel. I don't know. I don't know if he's called Emmanuel, something like that. I want to say John Emmanuel. I don't even know. It's a
Hmm.
guy that plays the guitar really well. So he
Oh,
sent me a clip of him doing like a TEDx. It was rather interesting.
nice.
So I just wanted to shout out as to Phobos for sending me that Emmanuel video. And now that I've done that, yeah, I know that there's reviews now. That like I've been seeing more reviews for.
Yeah, some of the early reviews have been put out, so we can real quick one here. I'll share. Um, yes, the long awaited Japan adventure sharpens and refines its edge without fully reforging it. So they IGN gave Assassin's Creed Shadows an 8. Uh, yeah, so you'll remember, you might remember some of the other notable 8s that they've given. Ahsoka was one. They gave a 9 to some other recent titles. They gave a 9 to um, what was the name of that game? The Dragon Age Veilguard. They gave a 9. So that must mean that this is a real piece of garbage since since that other one was total crap. Um, there's been a few reviewers that have been showing some things. Here's some shots of the game. So, sure, the game can be pretty. I don't doubt that the game could be pretty. I never did doubt that the game could be pretty. Um, I think it's insulting, and probably the story is terrible. But that's not. Oh, look, there's Pirate Nation mentions the Dragon Age got a 9. Yeah. Um, a few there's the obviously some video reviews of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Unfortunately, a lot of the reviews so far have been pretty just like we were talking about with what we're getting for Snow White. They're very shill centric reviews, right? For a lot of these games, or for Assassin's Creed Shadows specifically. But yeah, if you look, I'll switch to another tab here. Um, Metacritic, they collect lots of reviews together. I do like to look at them. So right now for PlayStation 5, they've got an 81%. Xbox total reviews 87%, PC
Those are good
78%.
scores, though. Do you think this is anything anybody could trust, or is it like some fishy bots now?
I don't think it's anything anyone can trust. No. Well, let's look. A 100. This is a game to end all games. One of clearly a 100 out of 100 must be one of the most impressive video game feats ever made. This
Right.
belongs on the Mount Rushmore of video games. Give it 100, right? VG 24/7. I never trust any of their reviews for anything ever. They're shills to the core. NME. Um, a, a series refresh badly needed after Valhalla, showcasing a huge technical and visual upgrade alongside new gameplay blueprints, a fantastic story, and well-developed characters. Sure. hmm You're well-developed black man in Japan. Yeah. Let's go down to the bottom here. Let's see what do we get for. Let's see if there's any others in here that are notable. Oh, many of these are tiny little tiny little groups. One thing you have to remember with gaming journalism has been exposed pretty thoroughly in the last few years. We've seen it with Kotaku and IGN stuff. You have to remember that some of these companies, if they don't give these video games a good review, then they're not going to get early copies of these video games to review from these publishers in the future. So they're basically forced to give better reviews than they really would normally because they're afraid they're going to lose their access. Games Radar Plus, dual protagonists improve on the series' stealth-driven roots. Okay, sure. IGN, IGN Germany. Okay, Deutschland. Let's see. Let's get down here to some of the lower scores. Let's see. PC Gamer, or no, PC Games. Sorry, PC Games. Bottom line, Assassin's Creed Shadows is not a bad game, but unfortunately, it's not really outstanding either. I had more fun with Naue and Yasuke in feudal Japan than I had with Ivor in England back then, but it doesn't come close to Cassandra's adventure in Greece, for example. Okay, so there's heavy, not a heavy-handed review. I think even saying not the worst I've ever seen from an Assassin's Creed game, but not the best either. Yet it will keep adventuring in shadows a good memory. Okay. PlayStation Lifestyle 70. I wonder what some of the lowest ones are here. Well, they've got some to be determined escapist with the amount of content and value on offer here. An incredible open world to sink upwards to 80 hours into. Assassin's Creed is an example of what franchise can be at its best. While not every aspect is perfect, the game's epic journey makes it the best Assassin's Creed game in a decade. Okay, sure. Let's see. The Verge. There's going to be a shilly review anyway. I don't need to read it.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, there's shows.
Yeah, Dual Shockers 55, a bloated collection of uninspired quests that quickly turn into repetitive, boring grinds. Well, I mean, that's kind of the description of all of the Assassin's Creed games for the last decade. Some of them had better stories than others, but honestly, I haven't really really gotten into any Assassin's Creed games since Assassin's Creed 3 or 4. I think I played 4 quite a bit when it came out for the PlayStation 4, but that was about it. I think after that point, I was kind of done. While the art and history teams deserve recognition for their efforts, it's all unfortunately wasted on a narrative that goes nowhere, is poorly explained, and has no satisfying resolution. None of the changes and tweaks that Ubisoft brought to the table move the needle, and the game is ultimately more frustrating than it is fun. This is a game that desperately needed to succeed and instead collapses under its own weight. Future Assassin's Creed releases need to innovate instead of being yet another rehash of the games we've already played in different locations. There are other open world games in similar settings that are much more worthy of your time. Well, that is definitely a much more critical review than what we were hearing from some of the others. So, the enemy, despite all controversies and pressure, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a good game in which prevails what the franchise does best: a beautiful world and a compelling story, despite its lack of creativity in level design. So, another smaller reviewer there. New York Times, game reviews. Stories of vengeance are eclipsed by the game's quieter moments, traversing feudal Japan and galloping horseback and visiting magnificent temples. So again, that's just a 65 though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so good.
Not great. Yeah. We're gonna find out more. It's gonna be in people's hands in just a few days. And of course, we've already got a lot of people that got access to it because they got leaked versions of the game that were apparently maybe even stolen, that were sold out through Facebook and stuff like that. So there's people out there who've already played all the way through this. They've done everything that is to be done in this game. But streamers were taken down for streaming it and stuff because it was leaked. So there's definitely going to be some reviews, very thorough reviews coming from some people pretty quickly once they're able to post those. So I think we'll hear more. But I think things are probably going to land in here. This this is what Ubisoft has been doing lately. A lot of their games are not very polished. They don't work very well. Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't awful, but isn't the game fans deserve. Clunky combat, awkward animations, and a departure from the series standard make it a mixed bag. Still, it's an expansive world. Production value and new mechanics might justify giving it a try when it's on sale. So yeah, yeah, it's
Not
definitely
exactly
not for
glowing.
not for me. It's definitely not a game for me. And I think this is all in the end. This is going to be really bad news because essentially there's been a couple of different reports about Ubisoft and what all is happening with them. You might have heard that they have been having some legal issues that they've been going
They're
into.
threatening people and stuff,
They're
no?
threatening people with all sorts of legal stuff. They've got legal teams out there trying to stop, you know, people saying bad things about the game and whatever. But there's also this. This is an article that was written by John F. Trent over on Fandom Pulse. This was reported just earlier this week, I think on Monday. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Get it back up. There we go. So allegedly, there's an Ubisoft employee that says if Assassin's Creed Shadows sells moderately well, we're in trouble. So, as a lot of people have been assuming, this is do or die for Ubisoft. If this game does not succeed, Ubisoft is done. They will not be able to survive this game flopping after all of the other issues that they've had.
Yeah, no, I can
And
understand that.
it sounds like potentially, if Shadow sells very well, we'll be able to start breathing a sigh of relief. Already, if it sells like Odyssey, which is the second best-selling game of all time, we'll be happy, right? So they're saying, yeah, if it does as well as some of our best-selling titles, we're going to be doing well. But if not, then things are going to be, things are going to be in bad shape for Ubisoft. And talking about Ubisoft having like 40 million players and stuff on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I just do not see that happening here. First of all, did you see the stories about how now there's been a politician who wants to bring up some of the controversies around this game in the Japanese Diet, their congressional, their legislative body wants to actually bring some of the complaints for these games up, along with some monks and other groups and stuff that
I
are
totally
opposed to
believe
the
it.
game.
I totally believe it.
So that's that's going to be a huge problem for them. This game is not going to be selling. I can already tell you, even without that, this game is not going to be selling in Japan. Nobody will want this. And it actually sounds like, to kind of finish up the story here, it sounds as if Ubisoft already has plans when this game is a failure to restructure as a new gaming entity, as a new company, with investments from a variety of groups, including businesses from China, to buy up different assets and scramble to reorganize the company after this new title fails. So yeah,
Yeah,
this
I mean,
this is
I
not
don't
looking
see
good.
they've had so many failures this year, but at the end of the day, I mean, listen, I don't look for people to lose jobs, and it's not that I start a party every time a business goes under, but they have made a lot of mistakes and they acted very foolishly. And sometimes if you continue to do that over and over again and kind of insult the intelligence of your own potential clients, sometimes that doesn't end well. on a business level.
Yeah, I mean, they have just repeatedly sort of shot themselves in the foot, and I think a lot of it, as we've talked about before, a whole lot of it comes down to DEI. They have just it's sort of been repeatedly shown from uh, insiders talking about the way things are working inside the company that they hired a lot of people who were activists first rather than it being actual capable developers. Not
You
saying that
know,
not saying that hiring diverse people or being inclusive in your hiring policies is the problem. It's when that becomes more important than actually bringing in people who can deliver on the product. They can deliver, they can actually sit down and code, and they can create something without having to be just completely monitored, people, hovering over them 24 hours a day, making sure they're staying on their jobs, doing what they're supposed to do. It sounds like they had a whole bunch, to one account, one, insider from Ubisoft saying that as much as 80% of their workforce working on these games was in fact uh, just dead weight. And that's really embarrassing. And it,
I
yeah,
totally believe it, and I also think that, we throw the term around like "get woke, go broke." Like you've heard that term a lot
oh
in
yeah.
recent years, but this is an example where it's not just some kind of like you're kind of saying it, but the company is still here. This could literally, quite literally, be a "get woke, go broke" situation.
Yeah, I think it very well will be because this game is not going to be a huge success, even with word of mouth. I think there's a lot of people who've already left the Assassin's Creed series of games behind. They're just not interested anymore. There's a lot of people who have heard all the controversy behind the game. They've heard all of everyone being called names and everything because they didn't like the game or whatever, and then they've also seen all the everything that's been happening culturally with everything that's been made in the game that's just insulting to Japanese culture. There's a lot of people, even Americans, that revere Japanese culture. Did you see that one story earlier today? I wonder if I can pull that up real quick. Um, then we can wrap it up. But
While you do that, I just want to say if you're watching this on Rumble, you should do a like. And if you're watching through the app, you should sign up for Rumble. And if you've signed up for Rumble, you should follow us and do a like. So that's on the Rumble side on YouTube. If you're watching it, also great if you do a like. And if you're watching it there and you're not following us, you should follow us so you could hang out with us every Tuesday and Thursday, which is when we do these shows. So yeah, don't forget to do all that. But
yeah,
sorry, go on,
yeah, no,
Professor.
no, that's fine. Yeah, we definitely appreciate if you would take a minute to follow and take a minute to give us a like. We would appreciate it. Yeah. So this was the one of the guys behind a number of titles at Nintendo, Masahiro Sakurai. Uh, Basically, he got up was saying, uh, sorry, excuse me, um, saying that for a long time that these different Japanese developers have been changing what they're delivering to accommodate Western tastes, saying, we're making these Japanese games, but a big portion of our audience is people in America or in Europe. And so maybe we should change some of how we're delivering on our games so that we could appeal more to those Western uh to those Western tastes in the games. And essentially, what he's saying is, uh, no, we should make Japanese games that are authentically Japanese for Japanese people. And if people in Western culture enjoy our games, that's awesome. because there actually is a lot of people in Western culture that do enjoy Japanese games in the style that we have been making them. So just stop trying to make our games Western.
Oh, yeah, I
stop,
saw that. I know what you mean.
stop trying to make our games more appealing to Americans, because we're going to appeal to people anyway. Because there's a lot of people, in Western culture that enjoy Japanese games and the Japanese culture and the stuff that we're putting in these games. So it's really, honestly, it's a really based take to say, like, stop, you know, stop trying to make our games Western. Ignore all the DEI stuff. Ignore all this identity politics stuff. You just forget all that stuff. Make authentically Japanese games, and the fans are going to come. They're gonna enjoy it. And I think he's 100% right. There's absolutely a huge appetite for Japanese culture and for games that were made in Japan. Uh, I think that's going to be a formula for success for them. I think to continue to try and do what many Western studios are doing, to try and be more like Western studios, is a huge mistake. I mean, Ubisoft is a Western studio. they're they're in free fall right now. They're collapsing, right? Same with a whole bunch of these other groups that have been making games recently that have been massive flops. They're these Western developers with Western ideas, and people have said, no, we don't want that garbage anymore. And a lot of them are turning to titles that are being published by Korea, published by Japan, published by China, that have more traditional values and stick to actually making fun, engaging games rather than inserting a bunch of politics and other garbage in there. So,
I mean,
yeah.
sometimes I've seen, this isn't the one, there's Miyamoto or whatever his name is, but I've seen, documentaries about how they made, the old school Nintendo games, and
Yeah.
then maybe some even later, and you saw this type of camaraderie, and you saw it, like, in Japan, Miyamoto and his team of people, and how seriously they took what they were doing, and how creative they were. That's how games should be happening. That's how you should be making games. It doesn't matter even what game you're making, as much as you could tell from that video that there is like a meeting of the minds, and an enthusiastic team working together to make things that are today considered classics. You know, redefine a whole medium, and that's the kind of excitement you need. And then you got these days, you got these kind of activists and all that stuff. They're not passionate. It's the same thing that we saw with like Star Wars and with Disney and with all that other crap. They're not passionate about these things. They just want to use the thing as a platform, and when that doesn't work, like they go and try to find something else to ruin.
Yep. Yep. They got to find the next thing to twist into their mouthpiece or whatever. And so, yeah, no, it's really interesting to see somebody is as well known as looked up to as Masahiro. Uh, he was creator of Smash Brothers. Kirby was one of his things, right?
Kirby
He
was
was
his, okay.
yeah, he was receiving an award for basically uh contribution to gaming and Japanese culture and stuff, is what he was receiving his award for when he was making these statements. And he said essentially, I think Japanese people should keep pursuing things that Japanese people like. That's yeah. Keep making things that that we as Japanese like, and stop Americanizing the work that we're doing. I think it's smart, and hopefully people in Japan, the developers over in the East, are going to be listening. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with everything you said.
yeah. All right. Well, I think maybe it's time we said our thank yous to some people here in
Yes.
the chat.
Yeah, this is it's exactly what we need to do.
Yeah. Let's see. Over on Rumble, we had Kivo 1961 back again. Good to see you, Kivo. Folsom Lockdown. Good to see you again. Elizabeth Quince, Phantom Monk, another regular here. Jimmy Nature. Hey there, Jimmy Nature. Good to see you. Dubros F420, also a regular. Good to see you. Pyromancer, another regular. Uh, he says instead of, I assume I could be wrong. They say instead of saying the pro watermelon people, you should say pro Palpatine or Palpatine, pro Palpatine.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. S. Wilson, 1973. Good to see you. Yeah, that's those who are in the chat over there on Rumble. Although I'm sure we had some who were just hanging out with us and listening rather than engaging in the
Did you
chat.
say
And I
Elizabeth
appreciate it.
Quince and Phantom Monk and Folsom
Yes,
Lockdown? Okay.
yes, it did.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was on Rumble.
yeah. And let's see, over on YouTube, of course, had things reset on us earlier, but Joshua Calkins, I see there, Drew Gordon, Mary White, Istophobos joining us this evening. Good to see you, Istophobos. Murr Rockstro,
Kendrick Lama,
Kendrick Lama. I saw Jamalama here earlier this evening as well.
Mary White,
Mary White,
Jonathan Conroy.
Stephen Mack, Dr. Johann Kraus, PhD.
Yes, I saw him.
Thanks,
and
doctor.
I have new dick.
Yes. Empress NM, the Dead Man, a big supporter of the channel. We appreciate it, Dead Man.
Oh, I see somebody wrote, Panda Kolima wrote, yo, Price, you up? The yarn never sleeps. Didn't see that until now.
Marla Sharondoff, again,
Oh,
also
Marla,
good
of
to see
course.
you here, Marla, friend of the channel. Drew Gordon.
Istophobos corrected me that his name was Tommy Emmanuel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What did I say?
Yeah.
Johnny Emmanuel? That
Johnny.
was close enough.
Yeah,
Tommy
yeah.
Emmanuel was good. Yeah.
Rob Altus. Tim Hayes.
The Dead Man gave some really good super chats.
Yeah.
Bush McFadden became a member, and the Dead Man became a member. No, Bush McFadden, it's Bush McFadden is 2 months.
Bush McWho?
That was a weird tongue twister. I don't know. That's not what I meant to say.
No.
That's
flagon. Flagon
I don't
of
know.
mead.
I am so sorry that it came out in a way that sounded like something that it shouldn't have. I'm just really I'll never be able to get rid of this.
No.
I'm so sorry, Bush. I'm so sorry. I really apologize. That was unintentional.
Yep. Let's see. We got I'm looking for some other
Bush
new
McFadden.
names
It's just
here.
the name. It's difficult
Bush
to say quickly.
McFadden. We love you, Bush. Thanks for hanging out with us. Looking for any other new names. Jonathan Conroy, of course. We got Jonathan Conroy. You said Pandy Kolima?
Something like
Pandy
that, yeah.
Kolima, yep.
Empress NM. Void King.
Oh, hey, Void King. I saw DJ Play Nice was here earlier this evening. I remember that
Cool.
one. Let's see. Did I miss any?
I think we got them all.
I think we got most everybody.
If we forgot
here.
somebody,
if we missed somebody earlier,
the next time, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we did a pretty good job.
All right.
So now I can remove the banner. And I guess there's one final thing. This is really dumb. I'm not going to do this a million times, but let's see. I have a channel that's considered like a channel that probably there may be like karaoke and gaming and weird things that don't fall under any real category. And I'm just sharing this. This is really like this channel may not be for everybody. It's called Price of Reason Confidential, or shorter, it's called POR Confidential. So I'm going to share that here today. I mean, I'm going to share it on the platform where it's at. So if you feel like it, you could follow me there. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with the Rumble side of it, but I shared a thing. It's just something that maybe there will be karaoke, maybe gaming, retro gaming. I don't know what. So it's not super important, but if you feel like it, I put the link there. If you feel like subscribing to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for tonight, Price. I guess we will be back here on Thursday evening. We'll get Price's out of the theater review.
Yes.
Of the amazing new live action Disney version of a supernova called Snow White. And also, maybe no promises, but we maybe we will be able to reveal who killed John F. Kennedy, but no promises.
I'm not counting on it at all.
Okay.
I think this is all just going to be a bunch of nonsense, but we'll see what happens. All right. Well, I guess now that we've done all that, I want to thank I'm Price of Reason. I want to thank Professor R2, my co-host, and I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with us. It's always fun hanging out, and yeah, it's great. We love doing it, and we'll be here on Thursday at 11:45 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I guess we'll see you. Bye.
What's the problem?
What's the problem?